This is the fastest 350Z as I know in the world. Everything I've ever driven or raced, it becomes number one. I can't be number two.
The Pro Import started because of you?
Along with others, specifically Pepe Loco. I want a tune. Okay, when's the last time you changed your oil? Oh, when's the last time you changed the spark plug? Spark plugs? What the 2JZ did to everybody else, the VR38 is going to do to the 2JZ. VQ35, 37 cranks are some of the best cranks ever, which always drives me crazy because they connect the piston and a great crank with a shitty rod.
What's the best VQ engine then to build?
I was the first person to make 1,000 horsepower on a Supra.
Are these facts though? So then what's wrong with saying that? So, just say how it is.
What? Oh, I got so-and-so Motorsports. I'm so-and-so Performance. You ain't never been to a fucking racetrack. What Japanese manufacturer ever has sponsored a fucking car in America? If I could take a car that came out of a junkyard and make it the most famous car ever to exist in drag racing history, can you imagine what I'm going to do with a real program?
Welcome back to another episode of the Street Alpha Podcast. I am your host, Tukes, and we have another one for you guys out here in Long Island, New York. This is where I was born and raised, and I had the pleasure of living pretty close to the shop we're in right now. We're here with Vinny Ten, who is another legend. We've been having a lot of legends on the podcast. If you guys watched the Titan Motorsports episode with Nero actually brought up Vinny Ten, and he mentioned that he was racing with him back in the day. There was pretty much a lot of rivalries that you guys had back then between the Supras. Going back and forth, a lot of legendary races back then. Mm-hmm. But growing up on Long Island, I always thought that Vinny was primarily a 350Z shop. I didn't really know he had any involvement with Mark IV Supras up until the podcast with Nero. So apparently, Vinny is the pioneer for the Supra in drag racing, right? He was the first to go 12s, 11s, 10s, 9s, maybe 8s too? 7s?
7s, all the way from, we took it from 12 to 7s. And then we went from like 112 miles an hour to 191 miles an hour. Crazy. And that was in a 2,850-pound three-quarter, back half car. Actually, it wasn't even a three-quarter car. So it was just a back half car. We broke the mold in the sense of, nobody was out there doing anything with Toyotas. Yeah. It was really early on. We're talking about I'm considered like the first shop in the United States. So I started my shop in 1992 in Manhattan, where the average speed is like 8 miles an hour. But I lived in Manhattan. I worked in Manhattan for a lot of years. I knew there was a lot of motorsports in there, and we started in Manhattan. And that's really where the first Supras started to roll in. Yeah. And before that, we were doing lots and lots of Nissan 300ZXs. That was my prime.
I forgot about the
primary.
ZX,
car that I was building a lot of was the 300ZX, and the Mitsubishi Eclipse came on, in 1990, 89 or 90. We were doing a lot of those. I had the first 11-second Eclipse in the area, just an array of 7MGs, the single turbo 300ZX stuff. But then the Supra came along, and the first guy brought it, and I looked at it, and I was like, "This is just one big motorcycle motor," and it was an immediate attraction, whatever it was. It was like whatever, love at first sight, whatever you want to call it, but it was an immediate attraction, and still in Manhattan, and I was only there for 3 years. So even before 93, 95, 94, we were already putting single turbos on them. And we were doing it with Trust, which is Greddy USA now.
Oh, okay.
So, so we were putting a Greddy front mount intercoolers. Greddy they used Mitsubishi turbos back then. I still think they're using those. And it was all Greddy stuff. I was more of a Greddy guy. I'm more of a Trust guy back then than an HCAS guy. My competitors had HCAS, so and I liked Greddy. I liked their company. So, and we started doing business before they weren't in America. So I was ordering these parts, mostly exhaust systems. And what we would do is I'd order like 20 exhaust systems from Japan. and they would come, and then for like 3 days straight, we would just do exhaust systems. Now, it's not it was just bolt on, because they were right-hand drive cars, so there was always a little welding, a little cutting. The flanges on the catalytic converters were always different, so that was the first thing we had to do, is chop off the catalytic converter fans, and then weld the actual thing on, and then some of the hangers. And we go 3-4 days straight just putting on exhaust systems. They didn't have anything. There was nothing in comparison to today to do anything. So we also, at the same time, were, looking at like Carboy and Options magazine out of Japan.
Carboy, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I picked up the phone, and I called, because I was pretty successful with doing it with trust. So I picked up the phone and called Veilside and started talking to them. And they had one guy there that, actually spoke English. Yeah. And I started talking to them, and the next thing I know, I was able to get the first Veilside kit in America, and we put it on a Supra. I mean, if you looked at a Veilside kit on a Supra in 1993 or 4, you've never seen anything like that. That was something you've just never seen. And, got me on a magazine cover in Turbo Magazine.
What year was that with the Veilside when you first installed it on the Supra?
I would say 95.
Okay,
95, 96.
The Veilside was popular before, because I know Veilside because of Fast and Furious.
1995.
I know, but I'm saying for me, being
young, yeah.
Like, I didn't know about that brand until the movie.
Sure.
So, a lot of you guys were doing stuff way before, and I'm sure that those movies got inspiration from what you guys were doing back then.
Well, we could talk a lot about that. That's for sure when it comes to at least the first Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah.
So, I was able, I got him really cool. I was still in Manhattan. I was 2 years into this business that didn't exist anywhere else.
Yeah.
And, I was making a lot of money. I was working for the dealerships, and I was making a lot of money. I was a good tech and fast, and I had no reason to leave. I was union shop steward. I had seniority. And to leave that for a unknown, I used to tell people I'm going to modify Japanese performance cars. They had no idea what I was going to. I didn't have almost everyone. I had everyone tell me not to do it. My girl I was with at the time, my shop steward, my service manager, they were like, we'll bring you into management. Just don't do this. You're a talent here. You're going to go far. And I'm like, I can't imagine that this is going to be my life. I can't imagine it. I just can't imagine it. I just thought of something different, that there was more of something for myself. Just like my guys. My guys work for me because they don't want to do the same thing every day. They want to challenge themselves. They want to see the more difficult work. Whereas the dealer mentality is you want to do the easiest, graviest jobs. My guys are like, give me the hardest stuff, give me the difficult stuff. And I wanted to challenge myself, and I didn't think. And plus, when I was growing up, I wanted to be actually a motorcycle racer, and that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was into bikes and racing bikes long before I was racing cars. And I turbocharged motorcycles before I turbocharged cars. Yeah, my first turbocharged vehicle was in 1980, which was a Kawasaki 1000 Z1R.
On a bike?
On a bike, yeah.
Wow.
So, and I was all of about maybe a little taller than Joey, but probably not much more weight, probably 115, 120 pounds. So, I did well on the bike, I'll just say that. And my friend that we first turbocharged those bikes, my friend Fast Frank, is still in that business today.
Okay.
And he's actually not too far from here. So it's
Long Island.
Yeah. He owns a company called Powerhouse Motorcycles right here in West Babylon. Well, he's in the next town over, West Babylon. And he's still doing his thing, building turbo bikes. And I'm over here building turbo cars. And in fact, we worked together, believe it or not, right across the street. So it was really crazy. When I got this spot, it was like a full circle.
Yeah.
Of coming back here. So, and then, getting back to the Supra, it was an immediate love affair because I understood the car right away. And the car told you what it was. It wasn't a twin turbo car. It wasn't a sequential turbo car. It was a two-way twin turbo car, because that's actually what's on the valve cover. And a lot of people misunderstand that. And when you have a better understanding of how that turbo system worked, you were able to hook up boost controls like a boost controller. And I literally have in my toolbox faxes that I was faxing back and forth to HCAS because their original instructions for the EVC was just didn't work. And, I got it to work and sent the fax back and said, hey, this is how this works. And, the EVC started working on it. Because when they first came out, the EVCs didn't work on it. They would make more boost, but they weren't on the control boost. And but eventually we figured it out and sent them the stuff, and everything worked out after that.
So what were some of the challenges you were facing? Because being a pioneer with the Supra, of course, you have to be the first to do stuff, right?
It's beautiful today because you order a turbo kit, and that thing comes complete. Like every clamp, every nut, every bolt, for the most part. There's still a little shenanigans going on, but for the most part, it's all there. Like for us, a turbo kit was a manifold. Like if we had a turbo manifold, we were good. Then we can build out the rest. And that's really where it all started, is just if we can get a manifold. And one of the first companies that's in America that started making manifolds was RPS, the RPS clutches. Rob Smith had a guy that made these incredible headers, and they were stupid expensive. Like my header back in the day cost $1,700. Like that was like $4,000 or $5,000 today. It was just a ridiculous amount. But I got to know the guy, and I got it cheaper. And then we did some other stuff. We changed the primary tubes on them.
Yeah.
And once that started happening, and that was like in more like 95, 96, everything started to come around, and the business exploded in the sense of the industry. Not really the business, but the industry exploded. Every American manufacturer wanted to get involved. Every Japanese company wanted to get here. One of the cool things that actually created, like guys like you, it created a whole generation of people that wanted to do this. And now we see more, small-time manufacturers making really super high-quality parts. CNC machining, obviously, was involved in that. Obviously, the explosion of the internet. One of the things that, the irony here is, like, I literally had an entire career, right, that even a well-educated guy like yourself, well-knowledgeable guy of the industry, had no idea. I had a whole career. I changed this entire industry. And then got out of the Supra. God got me out of the Supra because I crashed it on my birthday. I always say that was the greatest gift he ever gave me, actually.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It was on your birthday?
It was on my birthday. Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Greatest gift ever happened.
So your birthday's in August?
August 30th, and I crashed racing Paul Afontis. And that's a story in itself. It was, I look at, and for some of the young guys that are going through bad times, I thought that was the worst day of my life, and it actually turned out to transition into one of the best opportunities because we were contacted by Nissan dealership, and that I actually helped out earlier in the year. I actually helped them out. I hooked them up with the right people, and moved their program, at least forward. And they contacted me because they owned the body shop as well. And they said, hey, we're looking out for you. And if you want, you can bring the car to the body shop. So I go over there and meet with them, thank them and stuff like that. Tell them I don't have a lot of money and I'm not really sure if I'm going to go forward. There wasn't a lot of I made a living in 2003 and 2004, but it was really, really difficult to do it. Let me just tell you the scenario in New York. You cannot be broke in New York.
You can't be broke in New York.
You could be broke anywhere else, man, but you cannot be broke in New York. You just can't. You can't. You can't be a brokester and live in New York. You just can't. So for me, you're from New York. I mean, Long
Island at that.
Yeah, Long Island at that. And
you need a car out here too.
Yeah, it's just you can't be a brokester in New York. You're not going to live off the land here. It's just not one of those places where if you're not earning an income that you're going to have any kind of substantive life. So, for me, it was always about providing, and so I wasn't sure at the time whether I was going to go back or not to racing. And they said, okay, well, we'll it just bent the subframe bar over a little bit and look worse than it was. And they did that. And, and there's always something else to a deal, to somebody being nice to you. I hate saying it,
sometimes always,
but there seems to always be something. And they were like, we could use somebody around here to build some engines. And so, as an engine guy, I said, okay.
Where? Wait, build engines where?
For the dealership, because they were running a street tire car. They were running a street
Oh,
tire
wow.
car. Yeah,
Okay.
they were running performance. The name of the place was Performance Motorsport, and they were running a street tire car. But literally every pass, they were blowing up a motor and literally putting a brand new motor in the car and
What?
running it. Oh yeah. Oh man, it was ugly. And I built every engine I've ever raced, whether that's my motorcycle turbo engines,
Yeah.
every Supra engine, how I make a living. I build engines every day. And I had the fastest outlaw car out there by like 12 miles an hour. So it wasn't like I was faster than you by a little bit. I was faster than you by a lot in my class with cars that were better chassis, running like I ran. Like in the end, I was running 730s pretty consistently at 190 miles an hour in a 2,850-pound back half car.
Yeah.
Against cars that were running 3/4 chassis, M1 methanol, and I was still putting those cars to shame. Those teams were only going like 184 miles an hour. So I'm on C16, you're on methanol, you got a 3/4 car, I got a back half car, and I'm still laying waste to you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's on the videos, there's plenty of videos I think on our YouTube channel that has those videos. So everything by the way, there's gonna be a lot of shit going on in this video, and if
this is your camera right here.
Oh yeah, you guys can check it all out. All right, you can check it all out. So we were just doing really well, and we had won a championship, and I think we were one of the few people to win a champion. There was 3 series at the time: NHRA, IDRC, and NOPI.
Okay.
And I won first place in IDRC and third place in NOPI and NHRA. And then in 04, I won all third place in all 3, even with the accident. And I still took third place in those series. So we were very well known. I was I've always been a very big person in promoting import racing.
Okay.
Yes, that included promoting myself, but it was really because, again, I wanted to make a living doing this. This is what I wanted to do. And I knew I had to promote you to do it. I had to promote you to do it. I had to promote you to do it. Like, I had to promote everyone, everybody, just like now. You walk through my shop, right? Right, we walked through, right? We just walked through my shop. You met all my guys, right?
Yeah, make sure you guys check that out too, by the way.
Yeah, you met all my guys, you met my partner over here with Nissan at Bayshore. Everybody, you met my wife, because these are the people that support me. Yeah, I pay them. I get it, but they do a phenomenal job for me.
Yeah.
And without them, I wouldn't be able to go racing, especially this thing. This thing's a bear to work on. This is like this is 10 pounds of shit in a 1 pound box right here, okay? This ain't 20 pounds of shit in a 10 pound box. I'd sign up for that. This is 10 pounds of shit in a 1 pound box. And these guys, they stuffed everything in there. Yep, I build the motors, I'll set the motor in, and then I'll walk away, and Steve and Joey and Charik will put it back together.
Yeah.
I put the trannies in because I kind of like working with the trannies. You can take that any way you want, guys.
What was the reason for the crash? I don't think I asked you that.
So I'm in second place. Polifontis is in first place. Right? We're in Maple Grove. Obviously, I crashed that Echo, but we'll get to that. We're at Maple Grove. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, in order for me to take him out early on, I came up with a plan. He qualified number 1. I told all the guys, I'm going to qualify. There was only 8 guys in this class. So I said, I'm going to qualify number 8, and I'm going to race him first round, and I'm going to take him out. And that was the plan.
Okay.
So Saturday comes. Everybody rolls up. I qualify last, 8. That means number 1 is going to race number 8, and I'm going to get him in the first round, and we're going to go from there. I already got him covered. We're good to go. So I don't need to run my car again. Everything's beautiful. So he spun the bearings in his motor, going for number 1. Okay, great. So, they're capable. So, we're friendly. I'm over there, and I see, you got to pull the motor out, pull the bearings out, change the bearings. So they're up all night changing the bearings in the motor. One thing led to another. I don't know what happened over there in that camp, but one thing led to another, and they didn't finish. So now I walk over there at like 6:30 in the morning. I see the motor on the floor. I'm like, they're not going to be ready. There's no way. I'm like, I can't ask for a more perfect thing. But overnight, it rained, and it rained hard. So I go out to the track. Track's dry. I'm like, great. I'm literally having a cup of coffee, and the owner at the time was a guy named George Case. Okay. He rolls up on his scooter, and he's like, how you doing? I'm like, George, it's, sun shines out. It's a beautiful day. He goes, not so fast. I'm like, why? What's up? He goes, you remember the rain we had? Yeah, it was torrential. I said, I was already out to the track. Track's dry. He goes, yeah, the track's dry, but the return road is under 4 feet of water. We don't have any pumps to pump that much water out.
Yeah.
They canceled the event, that day.
Yeah.
Now they're going to run the 3 rounds of eliminations for Maple Grove at the next event at ACO. Okay?
Okay.
So your first round of qualifying, you're going to go through first round of eliminations technically at the same time. So now I obviously qualified 8. And it's one thing not to have lane choice at Maple Grove because, again, they were good friends of mine over there. They're still good friends. And believe me, that track doesn't matter what lane. But this time I'm at ACO now to make up the race. So we're going to the first round. And now I don't have lane choice. And now I'm stuck in the left lane. The left lane, although was a little faster, true, but it had a hump in it. And the right lane was smooth than fuck. And 2 other cars had crashed in the season. Actually, Pepe Loco and Manny Cruz both crashed in the left lane earlier in the season. And now I'm in that lane. And I was really aggressive with the tune-up and the clutch. And I put too much clutch in it. I didn't put enough slip in it. Clutches need to slip.
Right.
And I put too much clutch in it. So when I dropped the pedal, the clutch pedal, the car bogged for a second. But I knew I could catch him anyway.
Yeah.
So I just stayed into it, and the car picked back up, immediately. It's like a split second, picks right back up and takes off. But now the rear suspension's not loaded like it should. And so I go out, 180 feet, 300, whatever it is, there's a bump in the left-hand lane. And if your car leaves and it's not fully compressed, when it hits that bump, it's going to take you. So what happened was now it unsettles the car, and I'm drifting over. I don't see Paul. I don't see him, which means I'm ahead of him.
Yeah.
Right. I look over, I don't see him. I'm like, I can't go in his lane. I just can't. The car makes a pull like it's going to go into that lane, and I just
yank the wheel over?
Had to yak the wheel. I'm not going to crash into somebody else and possibly kill him. So we yacked the wheel over and hit the wall and bounced off the wall, and it was a great video. It was exciting. I didn't get hurt. Came out, 68 heartbeats a minute. Blood pressure 110 over 80. At the time I smoked, I was smoking a cigarette. The lady was like, the ambulance lady was like, you better stop it, Vinny. I've had about enough of you. And I'm like, just take the thing. There's nothing wrong with me. So they grab my helmet, and they see that it got a mark in the helmet from the cage or whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, how's your head? I'm like, great. So just cracked your helmet. I feel great. And they're like, no, we're going to take you in the ambulance. I'm like, no, we're not. We ain't doing none of that. I'm like, yeah, well, with your head injury. I'm like, listen, I've been hit a lot harder than that, so we're not going anywhere. My blood pressure's good. My heart rate's good. Let's get this car off the track, and let's get the hell out of here. And I whacked the car right there, and that ended it for that season.
The pro import that started because of you? Is that true?
I think that I had a lot to do with early on, along with others.
Okay.
Along with others, specifically Pepe Loco. He was, him and I, we met early on before there was any organized racing.
Okay.
Okay. So, and remember, we all were street racers. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Don't do street racing. It's dangerous. Tell me a drag racer didn't start out street racing. Okay. Tell me. Oh, well, that's because you're a girl, baby. All right. But most drag races, and whether you want to admit that, whether it's a dirty secret, you're going to start off street racing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just where it is. I mean, maybe the road racing guys, they start off in the go-karts. Yeah, we're going to start off at the light on the avenue. That's where it all starts all the time. No, but I was just a strong proponent of import racing, and so was Pepe.
Okay.
And together, we formed this thing at ACO Raceway called the Quick 8. And basically it was 8 guys put in a pot of money, and we go racing on that Sunday. And it just really blew up really, really, really fast. And the next thing we know, people are building back half cars and then 3/4 cars and then, pro cars. But it came year after year after year.
Okay.
So I don't think I was involved in the pro import class in the sense of developing that. That was already done. They were doing a good job. At one point, just give you an idea how big import racing was. There was 3 series. You don't have any 3 series for any. I mean, you got IHRA and NHRA competing. Can you imagine having NOPI, IDRC, and NHRA?
Yeah.
And it was good because for a local guy like myself, I didn't have to go like NHRA had races in Colorado. It's like,
yeah,
come on, man. It's turbo cars. What the hell are we doing in Colorado?
Yeah.
First and second of all, it's an urban sport. All right?
True.
Okay?
Yeah. Got 2 bad
Colorado
combinations there.
doesn't strike me as the urban epicenter of the Midwest, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay? All right? I mean,
No,
maybe
right,
you got the Colorado Timberwolves or something, and that's going to be it for you. All right? Everything else is going to be,
Yeah.
So always made me think like I can't travel around the country like that. Like I didn't have any sponsors. I didn't come from money, So, and I had a business, and my business paid for my racing. And so if I was away too long from my business, it would suffer. And, we've been in business March will be 34 years. It's like, I'm not going out of business for any addiction, whether it's drugs or alcohol, women, racing. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be, hi, my name is Vinny. I'm a degenerate drag racer. Hi, Vinny. Races Anonymous or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. So I was able to take advantage of all of these series by going basically from here to Florida, mostly from here to Maryland, and picking out all the ones that I wanted to go to.
Okay.
There was 3 more tracks out there. There was Moroso, Acco, and Englishtown, which have all been closed by now. So there was a lot of racing going on.
Yeah.
And so we were able to pick and choose which races we would go to, and the ones we could make the money from. They were paying out money, so we were racing for the money. And
what do you think you have the most inspiration in terms of cars being built around that time to drag race?
I mean, I don't even want to answer that question because I don't want to sound like a complete jerk, I mean, but
no, you can be straight up. I mean, we're not gonna take
all
it
right.
away.
Well, then what I did, then everybody came after me.
Yeah, say it how it is, man.
You know,
we in New York, bro.
You know that. Well, I mean, there is, but we're talking to a bigger audience. But that's really the truth. I was the first person to make 1,000 horsepower on a Supra. I was the first person,
Are these facts though? Oh, so then what's wrong with saying it? That's all. Just say how it is.
What?
These facts. If they facts, you gotta say it.
They are facts. There's no.
Okay, so first 1,000 horsepower Supra.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was funny because it was actually done out here. I had the shop in Queens, and I had to come all the way out here to go to a place called Mustang Magic.
Oh yeah, that's by my house.
Yeah,
where I used to live.
Yeah,
Deer Park,
Joe. And the tuner used to come and meet me there, and whether and I wrecked a lot of motors. We were having a lot of problems keeping. One of the dirty secrets of a Supra is that because of the design of the motor, it loves to burn up bearings. Main bearings and stuff like that. And remember, we didn't have nice King bearings. We didn't have an ACL race bearing.
Yeah.
We were using an aluminum NDC bearing from effing Cleveite, and spin the bearing or lift the head. And I went out there like 10, 12 times and paid the tuner every time. And
wow.
And I go there and they're strapping the car down, and he goes, "What are you going to do here today?" I said, "I'm going to blow it the fuck. Sorry. I'm going to blow it up, right? I'm going to blow it up, man." Just so that they couldn't say it.
Yeah.
And you got to understand, I'm in a Mustang shop.
Right.
No love or very little. I just kept coming back, and we were still racing. We'd race an 800 horsepower car, 900, but we wanted to get faster. And so as we turned it up, we had created more problems. And finally we made like 1,013, and the guy, you know, and every time he would charge me. I'd make one pull, blow it up, charge me. You know, the tuner charged me.
Yeah.
You know, everybody. You know, so this time when I made the first 1,000 horsepower, you know, it was impressive. It sounded great. It lived. We made a couple of more pulls. It kept living. I'm like, okay, we're race ready now. So I walk up to him, I'm like, what do I owe you? You know, he's like, no, this one's on me. You know, and I felt such a satisfaction of, you know, finally achieving that
right
4-digit number, but also doing it in front of a bunch of Mustang guys in their own shop. So that made me feel good.
So that was Supra.
Yeah, that was Supra.
Right. What other like accolades I would say did you feel like you kind of
pioneered? Well, you know, I think we did a phenomenal job with the Supra, and the reason why I think we did, and I'll get to that. I think the reason why we did a phenomenal job with the Supra, and I think what it meant, why I was so popular, and what it really meant is we really paved the way to show what others can do. So I took it so far, right? Like I took it to a certain point, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, the way I look at it, this is how when we talk about the history of Supras, because every once in a while, like I'm scrolling through Facebook, the old man stuff, and I'm scrolling through it, and, you know, I see somebody in an interview, and, you know, and it doesn't make me mad. It doesn't drive me crazy or anything like that, but it certainly puts a smirk on my face where they, you know, some Supra guy, and I recently heard this, and he's like, yeah, we're the first to do this, we're the first to do that. And I'm like, man, you know, it's like, you don't, you know, at that point, you don't even know what you don't know.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just put a smirk on my face. But, you know, the way I think I like to look at it is that I took it from nothing to a 7-second car and showed the world what can be done. And I was kind of tapped out on the chassis, and, you know, we didn't have any real sponsors.
Yeah.
I had one, which maybe we'll get to later. But I also look at it like then Titan picked up that ball. Mm-hmm. Like I think I brought it to the 7s, and then Titan brought it to the 6s, and then, you know, that whole crew with E-Canoe then brought it to the 5s. It was the same crew that brought it to the 6s. Was the same crew that brought it to the 5s. It was Shane T, Eric Lazinski, Gary White, you know, and Nero and Bottle. Those are the guys, and of course E-Canoe himself. You know, that's who brought it to the 5s. You know, without his, you know, vision and his commitment, that would have never happened. And it was
100%.
You know, it was a great day. But, you know, when we were going 6s, and, you know, we were fast as pro stocks at that point. We were going way faster than pro stocks. You know, when we were in the pro class, our pro class was already faster than NHRA pro stock. And today that we're in the 5s, you know, I know Unleashed, they could probably run like a 511 like Josh Taylor did recently. But I think under like an NHRA rule package where Pro Mod runs like 560s and 570s, I think that there's definitely an opportunity for, you know, Pro Mods to race against Pro Imports.
Wow.
Yeah, so I definitely think there's an opportunity there.
I did a podcast with Titan, of course, right? And one of the things...
Where'd you get that chair for Nero? Nero, you ain't the king, Nero. I swear to God, you ain't the king. I beat you like a dirty dog before. I beat your street tire cars. I beat your pro cars. I beat your Brad Personette, Driver of the Year, unbeaten. I beat you all. Don't sit there in the king's chair. All right? But I love you, Nero. You know I love you with all my heart. And, you know,
so I didn't bring that up because of that, but shout out to Nero.
Yeah. Listen, I know I joke around. I'm very sarcastic, but I know the people that we're talking to really well. And I have a great deal of respect and a bigger amount of love for him. I mean, I love Nero. I mean,
he's a really good dude. Seriously.
He's one of my favorite people in this industry. You know, he's a shrewd guy.
Yeah.
Shrewd business guy. But I respect that. And other people do too. And he's done a lot. You know, he's done a lot for this industry. And Titan Motorsports as a whole has done a lot. He's contributed a great deal. At one time, I think he was running 3 pro cars or 2 pro cars and a street tire car. That's a huge commitment. So, and he really carried the torch. You know, I think others did too. But you know, you had in his reign on that deal, you know, you had Brad Personette, like I said. You had oh God, what was his name? Another famous guy, a bunch of famous guys, R.J. Shamrock, Matt Harford, running in the pro class. He's a pro stock driver today. He's winning NHRA national events. He owns Total Seal piston rings. So there was some real hardcore talented guys in there, and he's just one of them. I respect him because if there's anybody else that probably on this planet that loves import drag racing as much as me, I wouldn't say more than me, but as much as me, it's definitely Nero. And I love him because he's such a shit talker and he won't take any crap. So
I
love
that guy.
And it was good with that Big Mac guy, right? So that's good. We can get to that too.
So the reason I brought him up was because I posted a video about how he went fives. So Ikenu was the first to go fives, right? Mm-hmm. And people were complaining and saying that that's not a real Supra because there's basically the car is just tube chassis car. So what I wanted to ask you,
like, how else do you get a car to go fives?
So what I wanted to ask you,
again, all you guys are great. All the people I watch his video are great. My videos are great, but you got to learn a little bit about before you ask that question. You're never going to get a car, so to speak. I mean, they all look like cars from the outside, but that was more of a car than what we're running today because that was still a pretty much steel car. It was all tubed out on the inside, yes, that's for sure. But it still had pretty much the same body panels on it. Whereas today, the cars are all stretched and fiberglassed out. That was still, I think, a real car.
Okay, so what about it makes it a real car for people who, because these are just people in the comments. Nobody's an expert.
Yeah. So this is like a real car. So this sits on a unibody chassis, still uses the factory rear. Even if you change the rear in this car, not to make it a solid rear.
Okay.
But Drive Shaft Shop.
Oh,
Those guys over there, they make a really, really nice billet, steel welded 9-inch housing or 8/8-inch housing.
Okay.
For these cars that bolts right in. You hear me, Lee? Are you listening? Okay. So, but I don't have one on this car. Did you hear that, Lee? And but we're and this actually runs still in LSD. So this is
okay.
You could probably get a car like this in this form, 780s.
780s in this form.
Yeah, in this form, I think so.
So at what point would you to get it to a lower ET time? What would you have to do to remove weight?
I think you'd have to back half the car.
Okay, what does that mean?
So that means like we're gonna cut the floors out of this car.
Legit.
Yeah, the whole inner structure, and we're gonna weld in a whole cage, and we're gonna put a solid rear in the car, and we're gonna put a bigger tire in and narrow the rear.
Okay.
And really more for safety than anything else. I mean, these are heavy cars. You don't want these cars going as fast as they are, and they are. And it's crazy that they are. I mean, I just went 174 in this car, and it's at the time when I went there, it was 3,500-pound car.
Wow,
it's a heavy car.
Yeah,
3,450, so almost 35.
I didn't even know these cars weighed that much.
Well, they don't. They actually, my car was heavier than stock because we had the turbo kit, the intercooler, and the roll cage in the car.
Okay. Yeah, it's still heavy though.
Still heavy.
Yeah.
It was 3,550 pounds. It was 3,450 pounds.
Yeah.
And it was heavier than stock. Everybody I'm racing is way lighter. So last season, the beginning of 2025, we decided just to put the carbon doors on, put the carbon deck, and put the carbon hood. That was it. And got it down a couple of 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And it went a little bit quicker. But I think right now my biggest problem with this car is the rear. It can't take the launch. I think I'm driving through the rear. So what I'm going to do about that right now, I don't know. But we'll see. I think I might have a trick or two up my sleeve. Then from there, you back half a car, and the car is got a big tire on. It's got a little mini tub in it.
Okay.
And then you can still run like a stock front end, right?
So nothing
in the front end, right?
Towers
yeah, nothing touched. And that's truly a back half car, and that's what the Supra was. And the other cars that I was racing in my class, because NHRA is pliable. We'll just say that NHRA is pliable. So in the Supra, going back to the Supra, if you took this car and you cradled it with tubes and put struts in it, then you would make it a 3/4 car. It would still be a regular car. But it's going to be a 3/4 car. Then after that, when you look at a pro car is just fully tube chassis with a fiberglass body on it that emulates, looks like
the actual
the actual car that it's trying to be. people say, well, that's not a real car, but that's still the real power plant that came out of that. Like this still got the VQ in it.
You mean in terms of the engine?
Yeah,
and everything?
yeah.
Okay.
How many Celicas that they're racing have a 2JZ in it, right? So at some point you got to walk away from the thought of, oh, this is a street car, or this is a street car, or this is a fast car, and understand that you got to build a race car to be safe and to go fast. You're not going to be El Natty and go 260 miles an hour. You got to think about it,
Right.
But one of the things in my career that I'm most proud of, or pretty proud of, I should say, is that the 2JZ, Toyota brand, timing belt, cast iron motor, inline six, aluminum head, right? Real simple, very basic. Well, when I got involved with Nissan, now I got a V6 all aluminum chain motor.
Yeah.
Completely different, like totally different than everything I cut my teeth on, except for the earlier stuff with Nissan, like the 300ZX stuff. But that was different too, because that was a cast iron block. The setup was completely different. The cam setup was completely different. The timing chain, the 300ZX used a belt. This used a chain. Is this thing going to hold on at 9,000 RPM? Like there was just so many questions, and I really questioned my own ability. Did I get lucky and just get lucky with the 2J, or am I really that good? Am I good? Not that good, but just am I good? And so when they asked me to build some motors for them, I was like, yeah, let's do that, And so I started building a motor for them, and they seen my presence, and they seen that I could run a shop, so to speak. And then they said, hey, would you come work for us? And I said, well, I have a shop. I'm not racing right now, but I plan to get in. No, we'll come race with us, and maybe we'll get some other cars. Okay, that's always interesting.
Yeah.
We're having a pro car built right now, and I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. And it was a pro car, but it was a super comp car that they basically were making a mold body for, and doing all the updates on it. So it wasn't a purpose built car. But I said, yeah, let's rock and roll. So I built. It had a street tire car just like this on a BF Goodrich tire, and that car was light. They gutted it. The rules were different. That car only weighed 2,800 pounds, but I had to make 1,100 horsepower, in order to be competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an 8-second class. Even back then, it was an 8-second class, and I'm like, you're going 11s. I got like 38 days to put put this whole thing together, and we had a lot of help. One of the people I worked with back then was George Ianu, who was a really famous racer, probably one of the most naturally gifted and talented racers out there. He's also a Motec tuner. He helped me out putting the Motec in my car. Really great guy. We don't really speak that much anymore. I think he's on the other side of the country, but really just a naturally gifted guy. And he was part of that team. And I was in charge of building the motors and setting up the turbos. And he was going to be in charge of all the electronics. And together, within like 38 days, we put together a package. And we went down to Texas. And we ran 833 in Texas at like 176 on an old BF Goodrich tire. And do you know John Shepard is Shep Transmission?
Yeah.
So in one of the qualifying runs, this kid goes out, car's on a tear. So he gets in front of John, and the car makes a left-hand turn. I mean, straight left. I thought it was going to go. It's the closest to this day. And think about the thousands and thousands of videos I've watched in drag racing. And to this day, it's still I watched the shadow close between the car and the wall, and somehow, which I'll never can't explain, the kid that was driving it turned that wheel, and at the last second, the car just snapped, didn't hit the wall, and drove right in front of John. And it would have been a horrific accident. John would have, T-boned this kid.
Yeah.
And but we put the mark out there. We went, we were this team was laughed at. The last race, and then the next race they come in and take 5 seconds off of what they or 4 seconds off of what they were doing, and got in the middle of the field. I think they qualified. I think he qualified number 2 or 3 with that, and we had some other issues, but that car went on to to do really well. And that's when they said, okay, well, can you build us a pro car now? Can you do this for a pro engine? And I'm like, yeah, well, we need like 1,700. I'm making 11. I don't know if I can. Now the challenge is even greater. So, we put that car together again. That's when I brought Shane in and a bunch of other people. George had left the team at that point, and we brought in some other people. We brought in Shane, and we had Motec make us a harness, and Nathan Tackerson actually made us the harness. And I think he was working for Motec at the time. Might even be still working for Motec now. And we got that all together, and the owner was supposed to drive the car. So I'm just there as, like, at this point, crew chief, shop manager, engineer. It was then decided that we need somebody with more experience in the car. So at that point, I got the keys, and now I got to show what I did works, right?
Right.
So
Right.
we go out. We're having a terrible time with the clutch. Just terrible time with the clutch. Just can't get it right, and just can't get it right, and shaking. We shook the tire. I did like testing. I did like 9 hits, and every hit 30 feet out would rattle the tire. And if people don't know about a pro car, you're sitting so far back that the wheel well, if this is the back of the seat, the wheel well is right here. So when that thing shakes the tire, you know what shaking the tire is actually? It's like, just picture this. It's like when you drive over the tire. So picture a basketball, and just tuck the basketball in, and then have that energy released.
Oh, wow.
Okay, but do that like when the tire's spinning at 6,000 RPM. It's like bang, 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 and it's knocked people's teeth out. It has knocked doors off of cars. It has knocked stuff loose in the car, and we couldn't get the clutch. It's all in the clutch when it's doing that. It's
so the clutch is the reason why that
it kept
happens.
shaking the tire, and we just couldn't get a grab on it. And we rented the track basically for the whole weekend. This was Saturday, so Sunday I get up and I try to get up, and I can't get up. I'm beat up so bad, like I can't stand up. Like it took me a while because my back was so bruised. It was like getting hit with a baseball bat in phone books. You didn't see the mark, but it was there.
Yeah.
And but you know what? I took a hot shower. It was a new day, and whatever. So I went back at it, and we still didn't get the clutch. And then our first race came up, which was at Moroso. And we decided to go. We were like, maybe it's the track. Maybe the track prep's not right. So I didn't want to go. I figured, let's stay back here. Let's just continue the test.
Yeah.
But everybody wanted to go to Florida, so Florida is where we went. So we go to Moroso Park, and I literally qualified number 8. And I got to race Brad Personette, or I believe that was the driver. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was him. And, one thing about Brad and a couple other drivers is that they don't like the stage first. And, of course, as a driver, I'm always out there watching. When I'm not racing, I'm watching you.
Yeah.
When I'm not racing, I'm watching you, man. I'm watching everything you do. I'm sitting there. I'm watching how you stage. If you stage the same way, the same time, do you have a certain routine? Do you go through that routine the same way? What happens if something upsets that routine? When you get up to that starting line, you have to command that starting line. That's your starting line. That's nobody else's starting line. It's your starting line. And I kind of take that attitude when I get up to the starting line. Once I'm in the burnout box and those wheels are turning, it's like, this is my track. And it's just a mental thing, it's just like, this is my track. I'm going to race you, you're going to get raced right now. And so, we go up there, and, he's playing a staging game. He don't want to go in. I'm like, yeah. Now understand that these guys all see me at the lower class, the outlaw class.
Yeah.
And I dominated that class. I kicked their ass, that's a fact. Now I'm going into the big boy class, so, right, a bigger car, an outlaw car is, maybe a 7-second car. This is going to be a mid 6-second car, big jump in, driving ability. So I don't know if they thought that I was going to be shook or whatever, but man, we burned down both those cars before we went in, and, and then finally, we went in, and, we didn't have the clutch set up right. And I knew that going in. Right. I knew I was going to lose this race. Like, nothing changed. So I doubt very much if this car is going to go 60 feet. And it didn't. But I would not let him take control of that race. Like,
right.
That was it. So I was pissed now. Now I'm losing in competition. So, like, it's one thing to F up in testing or not get it in testing. But when you don't get it in competition, when everybody's out there, everybody's looking at your underwear. They see what you're doing. It's like, oh, man, I don't want to, I couldn't allow that, So all the way home, I'm pissed. I'm on fire.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure this out. We're driving up, and there's an IDRC race in Maple Grove. And I'm like, let's go. Let's go there. Let's go there. It's for the weekend. I'll make some arrangements with Mike where they can spray down the lane.
Mm-hmm.
I know Maple Grove's a great track. I know everybody there. I know they're going to take care of us. Let's go. So finally, cooler heads prevail and continue to test without everyone there.
Yeah.
Even though there was an IDRC event, at that point, sorry to say that, the IDRC was kind of falling off. They used to be the biggest, but they were kind of falling off. And not through their own fault, through some real shenanigans by this industry. It wasn't really Mike's fault or the IDRC series in itself.
Yeah.
It was just that he was a small player in a big pond, and he didn't own the tracks, and they were just pushing him out. And, and that's exactly ultimately what happened there. But we go to IDRC, and I'm like, okay, let's take the clutch out. Let's cut it. Let's do it. Let's go through everything. We go up there. Bang. I'm like, it left. It left. And I'm like, okay, bang, it's going. Bang, it's going. Bang, it's going. Car went 663 at 216.
What?
And I was like, wow. And of course we were static, right?
Yeah.
So now we thought we had the clutch tune up. We're good to go. And we did. We kind of dialed it in from there. But, it just showed, for myself. But to me, that was if you gave me $1 million, I wouldn't take it over that feeling that I had of the sense of accomplishment that not only was I able to now do this with a 2JZ motor, okay, and pioneer that whole thing. Well, I just did it again with the Nissan motor. You know what I mean? On a completely different platform. Like the two platforms were, one's an inline six, one's a V6. Right. One's all aluminum, one's cast iron aluminum. Yeah. So totally two different cars, two different engines with two different idiosyncrasies and two different inherent problems. Mm-hmm. The inherent problem for the 2JZ, it loved to spit out the bearing. The inherent problem for the VQ, loved to lift the head. And I solved both of those problems without spending a lot of money. Right, a lot of money.
So now, if you had an unlimited budget between the two, a 2JZ and a VQ, what would you do?
Oh boy!
Like if you had, let's say, if I gave you $500,000 to build whatever you want, right? What would you do
for 1 year? So I'm just gonna tell you facts here. When I started building the 2JZ, it destroyed the rotary. It just shit on the rotary.
Okay.
It just did for a lot of number of years. Even my friend Pepe Loco went from, racing his Datsun B210 with a rotary in it to eventually racing a 2JZ powered car.
Yeah.
And there's a video of that somewhere out there. So that we were bullshitting PRI about it. More than bullshit, but having a good time with it. And my good friend Ralphie Aceves was there too.
Ralph DRT, right?
Yeah.
He was on a podcast too. Sorry. Shout out to Ralphie.
Ralphie, did you tell him I used to work on your car before you started your business?
I don't know if he told.
No, you didn't say that. You didn't say that I used to work on your cars before you started your business. You didn't say that, right? Yeah, I figured that. I still love you, Ralphie. You know I do, but that's the truth too, right? You little white.
He listens to the podcast.
I know, with your little white Porsche with the little secret nitrous button bottle that I put in there for you. Remember that?
Oh yeah. Man, he's got stories for days, Ralphie.
Oh yeah. I love Ralphie. Again, these guys that are absolutely 100% dedicated. At the very first race, I believe at that race right there, I think, and I'm not 100% sure, maybe he mentioned this, but at the event, he had appendicitis, and he went and had it taken care of, like, I don't know, a couple of days before, and he showed up at the race or something that he was sick or really sick, and it might have been appendicitis, and he showed back up the race. So he was at the very first East Coast race for sure, him and Tito, Eddie Bello.
Eddie's in Florida now too.
Yeah, Eddie's in Florida now. Yeah. Last time I heard from he worked for me as well. And we met years before we were both anybody. Tito and I put together a 300ZX and RX-7. Did he tell you about that car, the RX-7 with the 300ZX, Tito? Did you have him?
No, I don't think I met Tito. No.
So we welded a 300ZX front on a RX-7 first gen chassis. So it was RX-7 from the windshield back, but from the windshield forward had a 300ZX front on it, and we built the 300ZX motor with it. And Jim Wolf programmed the computer for us. Jim, big shout out. Know you for 30 plus years, the whole group over there. But here's where I'm going to answer your question.
Okay. Let's hear it.
So again, the 2JZ shit on the 3TC, 4TC, 4AG, all the 4-cylinder cars, and all the rotaries. And that back then it was 2 rotors. And it destroyed them. It just set everything apart. Horsepower, performance, torque. Even to the point, the first Pan American I attended in, they wouldn't let me into the quick class. They said I had to go to a bracket class. So I had to, it was a 950 bracket. So literally that was, because they didn't want me racing in the quick class at that point. Because I had a 6-cylinder, which is crazy, right? Because it was still a Japanese car. But, you ready? Be careful. What the 2JZ did to everybody else, the VR38 is going to do to the 2JZ. I don't care with your RB. I don't care about your 2J. I don't care, okay? I don't care. I built them all. I know them all, and I'm telling you all that the VR38 is going to be the quintessential small block Chevy of Japan motor moving forward. The only thing that's going to stop that is if Nissan doesn't make it available. We need blocks. We need heads. Listen to Nissan, and you will dominate, destroy every other make out there for sure, easily.
But the GTR has already kind of proven itself. No, all those cars are. It's honestly, to me, it's kind of boring to watch because of how fast they are. Like it's almost like they're. It's a known thing that GTRs are like kind of like the cheat code.
Yeah, I mean, as a car, but as an engine.
Okay,
like,
so you mean,
so I'm just talking about an engine. Like the VR38 engine is going to, take over from the 2JZ and the RB easily.
So you don't think that pricing is going to be like how much it costs to work on those cars is going to be a big factor?
Well, we're not talking about the cars. We're talking about the engines, right?
Engines. That's what I mean. Engine, same thing.
So look at how many transplanted rotaries there are. Look how many transplanted 2JZs there are, right? So this is going to be another transplanted engine, that's going to be used for a myriad of platforms. One, they make more horsepower, right? Right now they do. Right now they make way more horsepower. There is no 3,300 horsepower 2J. If there is, they're spraying it with a 500 shot of nitrous.
Is this on factory cast, or this is like billet?
So let's get to that. So from what I understand, you can have actually a 2,500, and this is where it's going to shit on everybody. It's not so much it's going to do it in the pro class where you're going to have billet everything. It's actually going to do it in the lower classes where budget concerns come. So let's just say you go buy eBay right now, you buy a $13,000, $10,000 long block. Okay. You put pistons and rods in that. Pistons and rods.
That's it.
Pistons and rods, you're at 1,200. Okay? Pistons and rods, you could get away with 1,200. Right about there, it's probably right where the crank is going to start to give up a little bit. Okay. Then you put pistons, rods, and a crank in there. Set of valves, some cams. You can bring a stock block. Stock block. No boring, no honing, no line day, nothing. Just brand new stock block, put bearings in it, put rods, put a crank, put pistons in it, put a good head gasket, head studs, put good cams in it, stuff that just general stuff that you would do to any other motor. You don't have to put sleeves in it. You don't have to put dry sump in it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And you'll make 2,500 horsepower. You cannot do that with any other platform.
Hold on. You said no dry sump?
Yeah, you can go no dry sump. I'm sorry, up to 2,000 horsepower, 1,900.
Okay.
And
that's still
a 15 on a 2J at 12, 1,300, 1,400. You're definitely going to start needing a dry sump. Now, of course, I heard Nero's combination of how he puts together on the podcast.
Yeah, he talked about
he talked about some combinations. I don't necessarily agree with them, but they work for him.
In terms of what specifically? Because I think he didn't really go too much into.
It's just the way that like his combination thought process was, like 800 up to this point and stuff.
Okay,
and I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't think it's wrong. I just do things a little different.
Okay.
But again, still you're at 1,300 on a 2JZ and you're going to rev it to $9,000. You have to have a dry sump in there. RBs, as far as I know, the same thing. You've got to, 12, 1,300, you're going to start to put a dry sump. You make 2,000 horsepower with a VR38. No dry sump, no sleeving, no decking. Just put it all together, tighten it up. Why do you think this? How many? Think about this. Because obviously this is probably going to be your forte. It's like how many GTRs that are making between 1,400 and 1,900 horsepower?
Oh, GTR, which R35?
Yeah, R35.
There's probably a ton of them.
Ton.
Yeah. I can't even
think about that. You just answered your own question.
Yeah. I can't even count.
Those are street cars. That's your world.
Yeah.
Street cars, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So think about it.
Yeah, that's normal.
A ton. Yeah. Normal.
It's true. That's why I said it's kind of like,
You're not going to get that. You're not going to get that with a 2J. And you're not going to get that with an RB. And you're damn for sure not going to get that with any kind of rotary. Although I have a tremendous respect for all of them.
Yeah. Now, cost. So when you're looking at something like this, you're looking at cost, right? So you said 12 to 13,000 roughly for
you could buy one on eBay right now for 10 grand, no turbos, no harness, 10 grand right now.
And then how much are pistons and rods for that setup?
How much are pistons and rods for an RB? How much is pistons and rods for a 2J? You're not gonna. It's not like you're doing
doesn't
any.
Change.
Right, doesn't change.
Okay.
You're going to need a crank long before. With 2J, you're going to need a crank at 1,200 horsepower. That's for sure.
Right.
Yes and no, because I almost answered my own question. Now I made 1,550, right? I went 730 and 191 miles an hour on a stock crank with stock main caps, actually.
Okay,
on a 2J. But my secret was I didn't do it with M1 methanol. I did it with C16. You do that same 1,550 on M1 methanol, just the amount of sheer volume of fuel that you have to put in there. Benellis taught us a very simple thing. I teach you guys this all the time. You can't compress a liquid. So when you put that much fluid and that much fuel into a cylinder, the reason why they really beat themselves up early on was because it just couldn't take that kind of cylinder pressure. And I seen that. So I'm like, I like C16 anyway. I'm a big C16 fan. This thing runs on C16. And
really?
Yeah, it runs on C16, making 1,400 horsepower, And so I never threw a rod out. I never bent the crank because I wasn't using that M1 fuel. So, I could see you're saying, oh, you would need it, a crank at that point, or you don't need a crank. It's really dependent on the fuel that you use. So
most people nowadays probably aren't going to use that. They're probably going to use like E85 or ethanol or
exactly. Exactly. That's why they keep knocking the rods out of them.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Like, so at the power numbers are probably a little different. Yeah.
Well, so, you need the fuel to make the power.
Right.
I need a good Vinny Ten racing engine to make the power. And what I always say to those guys is like, hey, I got another 100, 150 in a can if I want. Like, you're done. Like, you ain't putting no more fuel in your car. Me, if I decide, like, are you really pissing me off? I'm like, okay, I'll bring it back to my shop. I'll change the injectors. I'll put some M1 methanol in there, and I'll be like the rest of you idiots, and run M1 methanol or some red fuel or something like that. And that's always available for this car, and even the Supra ran on C16. So the Pro car, when we were racing the old Pro car for Nissan, that ran on M1. That was an M1 fuel. But that was, a steel rod motor that didn't have an aluminum rod. So, I was able to keep that motor alive using a Carilla rod.
Which is pretty common. A lot of people run that now.
Yep. They didn't even have an HD rod at the time. And we were able to keep that alive again, making 1,750, 1,800 to go 660.
So it seems like I don't want to say secret sauce is the fuel, but like you're using C16, which is pretty much what's keeping a lot of your engines alive and also keeping you at the power levels that you have right now, as opposed to running lower octane fuels or like E85, sorry.
And again, So I go 823 on this with a 137.60 foot time. Terrible. It's horrible. It's one of the things. That's why I think the rear is giving it up.
Okay,
right?
okay.
So if this goes what my competitor goes, you know, like a 121, 122, then I'd be going 760s and 740s like Duffy. You understand? The only difference between it's not the horsepower level that's the difference.
Oh, of course. No,
it's the 60 foot right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I meant in terms of power.
No, I'm getting where you go.
Okay.
All right. So I wouldn't even need it for this car if I just straighten out the 60 foot, and then I can run my C16, and I'd be more than competitive.
Right.
But my feeling, and again, this is why I kind of smirked a little bit, was your engines need it, but mine don't.
Okay. Okay.
So
All
you
right,
need
I'm
that.
listening.
You need that. I bought these heads. You want to know something? And my guys know this on my things, but I'll open that up. It's got a stock intake manifold. Tell me in all of your travels, what car do you know, what race car, what big horsepower car you know using the factory period correct intake manifold?
What race car?
Any 1400 horsepower car. What which would be mostly race cars or GTRs.
Are we talking imports only?
Yeah, because that's how I got to compare myself to that. I'm not gonna.
Nah. I usually, no. You don't see any. I mean, I don't think any. Not that power. No.
No, doesn't exist. That runs a stock intake manifold. Right
Maybe there might be some. I could be wrong. Somebody in the comments is probably gonna say something, but it's rare. You don't see it.
Listen, people in the comments are always gonna say something. That's why they call it comments. All right?
Yeah, but sometimes they might be right. Sometimes, but it's always that one guy. You know?
Yeah. Oh, there's always the one guy.
Yeah.
Oh, my friend,
exactly.
who's cousin with my brother, who married my sister, has a car.
But you're right. Yeah. Stock intake manifold is not.
Right. So here I am on a stock intake manifold with the original factory motor that came in this car, VQ35, not an HR, not a 37, not a VR30, not a VR38, not a VG30, which are all popular motors, just a standard DE. One of the most underrated motors. You know what I mean? Like not underrated, but not like nobody ever did anything with them. Like I'm pretty much the only one that's doing anything with them. It's why thank God I'm going to a GTR, because I'm tired of making all the custom parts for this thing.
Oh, okay.
You know, like I could just call up my friends over at T1 and get a crank.
Right.
You know, be here tomorrow. Right.
Yeah.
I got to wait 26 weeks if I burn this crank up, you know?
26 weeks?
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a Sonny Bryan crank in it. So you call up Sonny, and it's 26 weeks. And you better be ordering 3. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the game. That's the game. That's the game.
So people probably should stay away from trying to build these to this level. If they
ain't going through me, or maybe one other person, maybe like Kyle, you know, Kyle and Rachel, they do a pretty good job. They run a 6-speed car up in...
I met him. He has he's still a manual, right?
Yeah. He's got the fastest 6-speed, and you know he's got a single turbo, and I really like them. You know, Rachel and Kyle, they have a good little business, and up in it's either on the border of
I think is he in
Mass? Yeah, it's in
Massachusetts or something.
Mass, Rhode Island border, right up there. Nice guys, you know, they're a great couple.
Super cool.
Yeah, super cool people. We always pit together, and you know, always try to help each other out.
Is he low nines?
Yeah, I think he is, or somewhere.
I don't know if he got in the 8s yet, but
he's not in the 8s yet. But you know, I think he'll go 8s this year.
Now he's on T56.
Now he's on the.
He was on the CD09 before. Yeah,
CD09. So he again, another guy does a great job.
Yeah.
You know, another guy that probably could go much faster and do much better if he had some kind of financial assistance.
Right.
You know, so it's just that I feel like as an engine builder, and yes, turbo engine builders aren't really all that respected, because, you know, back in the day, it was all about making normally aspirated horsepower, and you didn't need any power adder. And in some classes, like the pro class, it's like, yeah, your motor will make, your engine will make horsepower. That's true. But at that level, it's more about how can it's more of a containment device, the engine. You know, can it contain all of this horsepower and all this air that I'm trying to, and all this fuel I'm trying to push through? But like in the lower classes where there might be fuel restrictions or weight, where your motor really has to work for you, like every round, like you don't have the budget to throw 3 motors in it over a weekend, then your engine's really important. And so, like I said, one of the reasons I don't feel like I need to go there is because I'm doing a good job at the engine level.
Okay.
And then, and again, if I run out, I got 150 in the can.
Okay, so VR38 is what you think is going to be the next big thing, which it's
the future.
It's the future.
It's the future.
I actually do see a lot more VR38 swaps. I think it was like a Fox body, a PRI last year. There was a Fox body swap.
Yep. We actually talked about that like 10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. And the reason why, because the Fox body is one of the, again, middle-class motorsports, right? We talked about that. Yep. We don't have a lot of money, right? I'm not embarrassed to say that. I don't have a lot of money to throw out racing. Do I have a nice house? Do I live on the fucking beach? Yeah. Yeah. Do I got cars? Yeah. Do I have 5 grandkids? And, yeah, I got all of that. But racing's like a whole different set of money.
Yeah.
And like people that don't go racing don't understand that. Like if you don't understand how much it takes to go racing, don't even start to go racing. So,
whole different animal.
So when we looked at that for one reason is because you can build a Fox body Mustang out of every car that's produced, maybe rivaled to the Camaro, and but a Fox body Mustang, there are so many parts and so many good parts and so many cheap parts.
Okay.
So we just felt like it was a light car. We can buy all kinds of chassis parts really cheap and put our motor in it. But it's like I can't race in a domestic car. I couldn't wrap my head around it. I'm like, I can't.
Nah, you're just a true import guy, man.
It's like, what kind of car are you racing? If I have to say Mustang first, it's not in my vocabulary. You can't do it. I just can't do it. None of the shit on the Mustangs. Believe me, I've lost to plenty of Mustangs. Lots of fast Mustangs out there. I give them all the credit in the world. I love watching Snot Rocket. I love you guys. But I'm not one of you. I'm on the other team, man. And that's it. And that's where I'm staying. That's where I'm planting my flag. I'm never going to race unless you pay me a lot of money. I'm not going to race a domestic car,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care what you drive. I don't care what you race. Import cars are going 260 miles an hour. 260 in a quarter mile. 1,320 feet. Wrap your head around that. Figure out, you mathematicians, all you guys in the comment box. Let me give you a test. Okay? Figure out how fast somebody's going 260 miles an hour and use 560 as your ET, and tell me how fast you're traveling per second. Because I know. See if you guys can figure that out.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know. I wouldn't even know how to start.
About 200 feet a second.
Wow.
Okay? It's probably more than that. It's probably 210. You're going 560 and 1320. So if you double 560 and 560, that's still only going to bring you to what? 1140 or something like that, right? So 1140 feet. So think about how fast you're traveling to go a quarter mile, 1,320 feet in 5 seconds, 5.5 seconds. You're traveling about 220, 230 feet a second. That is just, I don't know if they're going to slow us down, but I think eventually they're going to. I mean, at what point is a door car going to go 4s? At what point are they going to go 270, 275s? I mean, every year cars get faster in racing. So
it's true.
I mean, to go see a car, you stand at the, everybody loves seeing the car at the starting line. Go at the big end. Go at the finish line.
I've been down there.
See how much energy is coming across at 220, 216.
Yeah.
Like I went 260, like this new generations that I'm hoping to be part of go. It's incredible. It's really incredible. So, I think that's going to be the power plant moving forward.
Okay. The VR38.
Yeah.
So where does
Nissan, baby.
Nissan. Yeah. I'm a Nissan guy too. I guess. I get it. Where does that leave the VQ and the VR platform? Like the earlier.
So the VR30 platform, is that specifically? So
because that's a huge thing, especially in New York, right? A lot of people are running Q50, Q60. Still I think some people are doing 350 stuff more for like drifting and the takeover scene of these people doing sliding, stupid flame tunes, all that kind of stuff. Pretty common with this car, right?
But yeah, because it's cheap. These cars. Here I'm gonna give you manufacturers some gold right here. Okay, I'm gonna give you some gold, and you guys should definitely listen. What makes this now a $5,000 car and the Supra a $220,000 car? You want to know what? One singular part, your connecting rod. If you would have put a good connecting rod in here, that we could have made 500 horsepower, okay, on that, not 380 when the connecting rod comes out, or 400 where the connecting rod comes out of the motor and destroys the motor. But if you guys literally made a good connecting rod in this motor, this car right here would be worth 4 times, 5 times the value, because now some kid can now buy this car for $15,000, put a bolt-on turbo kit on it, make 500 horsepower, and be a hero without having to touch the motor. Okay? Without having to touch that motor, because once you go into that motor, it's time and money. How much so? How much so, you ask, that the young people today are more willing to buy a BMW M Series, pay $35,000 more than the Nissans that are out there, just so that they can have the potential to make 800 or 900 horsepower and never open up the motor. You're not going to do that on a VR30. I love Nissan. I love them. I love the VR30 platform. Love them. Okay? But every manufacturer, that makes that mistake pays for it, because the car doesn't become an iconic car. Why did the Supra become an iconic car? Really simple. If you pulled that motor apart and you looked at a factory Supra connecting rod, it looks like a big block Chevy rod. Okay? It's about the same width, girth. It's not that far off. Well, you can take a 2J, as you know, and make 600 horsepower on a junkyard motor.
Yeah.
That's why it's iconic, because it can be built, it can be run, it can be raced. Everybody knows it, so everybody wants it. And that's why the demand for that Supra, on top of, the movies and the racers and everything else.
A lot of factors.
But the platform, the 2JZ platform, why it's so widely used is because it has a really strong connecting rod. One part separates everything. Like, if this had a good connecting rod on it, I'd be retired. Because when these cars first came out, I was doing a Jim Wolf turbo kit every week. Every single week for 2 years, I did a Jim Wolf turbo. You can call Colleen at Jim Wolf. We were overnighting the turbo kits. That's how fast we were getting them. Okay, it was an incredible number. Only $150 to actually overnight a turbo kit back in the day. So we would just overnight the turbo kit.
Yeah.
Every week we had one guy come in for almost 2 years straight. Then when the car started to get 40, 35, and 40,000 miles, and they were making 400 horsepower, boom. Car after car we started seeing come back. Break the rod, break the rod, break the rod. After that, we got to build motors. And now you build a motor. You build a motor for a car, okay? The time, the money, the effort, it takes quite a few months to really get a car into a shop, pull the motor, send it to the machine shop, send the heads out, port the heads, get the heads back. If you do your own porting, spend a week at the porting bench, get it back online to where it's in the same, in the same lineup as the rest of your work, get it there, and then spend, 2 weeks putting it together, and then, 3 weeks over at the monster side, putting the motor in, putting the fuel system in, putting the coolant system in, putting the turbo kit on. It takes time and money. Whereas the Supra, just turn up the boost, put a, Bosch fuel pump back in the day, and you were making 600 horsepower. You were the king. You were walking around with 600 horsepower. You were the king. But I think that's where a lot of manufacturers make a mistake of not putting a good rod in there. And if they did, these cars would, again, most of these manufacturers, they're not making money selling cars. They're selling parts. So they're not looking to put the best parts in there. But if you're really building a sports car, you want to make that sports car an iconic car. As far as the VR30 goes, I think it was an excellent platform for the Infiniti, which my wife actually raced, and she raced in 1140. But to be honest with you, and I know I'm not going to make a lot of people happy here, but I don't, I have a saying: those you fear to criticize are your masters. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Those are the people that own you and control you. Right. Right.
Okay.
And I will refuse to live by that. You know what I mean? I refuse to live by that. I tell the truth. Truth doesn't always come out pretty. It's not always nice.
I respect it.
But believe me, when I tell you the truth or I tell you my opinion, I don't do it to take you down. I tell you for your information so you can build yourself up. Like I consider myself a good person to be a good mentor to good people. So whenever I criticize you, or if I have something to say to you, believe me, it's not to take you down. It's to build you up. So in this case,
I respect that. Yeah.
what's the differentiation between Infiniti and Nissan? And that should be spelled out. And, the Infiniti's a luxury car, and it could use a VR30. It probably could use a VR30 in almost every line they have, and a bunch of other cars as well. Not just the one, Q, but, the other models they have as well. And I think it's a good motor. I think it's actually a pretty decent motor. I think like all motors, they have some certain problems. Again, did they do a better job on the connecting rod? Yeah, they did, but it's still not in the same league as the BMW.
Right.
Right?
Now, yeah.
Or even like a Ford EcoBoost, or where you can make 900 horsepower by just changing the oil pump gears, or an LS that you can make 700 horsepower on stock stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think the mistake, and again, I say this lovingly, and not because I'm with Nissan at Bayshore, or even, involved with Nissan in any way. I just say that I think it was a mistake to put that same platform into that car, knowing that the landscape is out there, where you can buy a BMW and get everything you want, make 900 horsepower, and never crack that motor open. And I think there was a mistake putting the VR30. Now, is it a mistake that can be remedied? Yeah, I mean, I'm like look, if Nissan wants to keep the VR30, then put a good connecting rod in there, rename the car, 650Z. Make something. I mean, you're competing with cars that are just, unfortunately, like you're not a Supra owner, but we have a couple of Supra owners, new Supra, actually the Japanese BMW version Supra.
Well, which Supra are you talking? Because I do have a Supra, but maybe not a Mark IV, obviously, but
no, you got a Mark V, right?
Correct, yeah.
Right.
So you wouldn't consider that a Supra, obviously, because it's a BMW, basically. Is that what you're saying?
It's a Z4 with a body package on it.
Right. I know that. I wasn't sure if that's what I wasn't sure if you were saying Mark IV or Mark V.
No, Mark V, right? So, Mikey over there owns Mark V. And, so we break his chops too. But, you look at the Supra, you look at the B58, B59, S58. Mm-hmm. You look at some of the Ford products that are coming out, like I said, the EcoBoost stuff. And, all of that stuff, you can make a tremendous amount of horsepower without opening the motor. So for the kids, they know that. They're not stupid. To think that this generation of car enthusiasts is stupid is a fatal mistake, and it will show up in your sales numbers. And so, where obviously the BMWs are everywhere, so
Literally.
the sales numbers are good. If you see them everywhere, then the sales numbers are good. Do you see a Z everywhere? No, be honest. No, you don't.
Like the Newsies?
Yeah, the Newsies. No.
I rarely
Yeah, you
see
rarely see them because they didn't really, and again, I love the car. You drive the car, you drive that car, and you want to make 500 horsepower on that car, 550, buy that car. You know what I mean? Buy that car. But if you're thinking of buying that car and making 1,000 horsepower to kind of keep up with your buddies with the BMWs, you're going to have to see your Uncle Vinny, and we're going to have to build your motor. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And that's just the way that's going to go. But, again, once it's done and once it's done right, it will be able to compete with them. So the money that you think you're saving, you buy a new Z.
Yeah.
Simon, new Z, how much? 45. Yeah. So you're spending 45 grand.
Well, it's cheaper than a Supra.
Well, it's way cheaper. It's like 30 grand cheaper or $25,000 cheaper.
It actually is not too far. I drove one in Australia, and it was actually really nice. It kind of gave me similar...
it's a great car.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal car.
Yeah.
The balance, the handling, the braking, the acceleration, for what it is, it's an excellent car. It
feels like it's a well put together car. Yeah.
Excellent car. I've driven them. They're awesome. They're so much more predictable, without being too disrespectful here. Like, BMWs are the import Mustang leaving the meet. You know what I mean?
That's not disrespectful.
I mean,
the truth though.
That's the truth. I mean, if it ain't a Mustang going to slide across the avenue, it's a BMW.
Yeah.
But you see
Well,
that.
you're right. You're so right.
I know I'm right. But you see that, like, I could do donuts in a Z and drive off straight.
Yeah.
Like, that's never going to happen in the Z. But, the difference between, 41 and I paid 81 for an M2 recently, is 30, whatever, 30, $40,000, $37,000, and that 37 grand is what you're going to need to put into that VR38 to make it competitive, with the M2. And I think that's where they made a slight mistake. And if they could just either put a good rod in there, it's a good motor. It's a baby GTR motor. I mean, it's very similar. It's got an actual vacuum pump on it. It's a very cool motor. It's just that once again, that connecting rod, is just gonna not be your friend. So, if they turn around and through production in the next year or so, or they listen to this podcast and like, let's put some good rods in there, I think you would have a secret winner. Like now the guys will know, it only comes with 400 horsepower, but turbos and injectors, and I'm with you guys.
Yeah.
Without having to spend 30 grand on the motor.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of where they came up a little short in that, And I also think that it hurts both Infiniti and Nissan a little bit because it doesn't differentiate between, a Q60 and, or Q50 Red Sport, which is what I had, and the Z,
So why do you think that they use that same motor? I was honestly disappointed that they used the same motor. I thought they were going to come out with something different. But why do you feel like they kept it in the newer chassis? I mean, it may go along with what you're saying, but like, what do you really think?
I want to strangle them. I want to be in the board meeting for engineering who designed that rod. I want to be in planning of who decided to greenlight the VR30. I want to be in the meeting for who decided to call it the Z instead of the 400Z.
I thought that's what they were going to call it initially. Rumors when it first came out, it was going to be a 400Z, no? And then
like I said, I like to be in that room.
Like it actually came out.
I like to be in the room.
I called it a 400Z up until...
Everybody calls it a 400Z. I can walk through every Nissan dealership that I know of and walk through every single tech and walk up to them and say, what kind of car is that? And they'll be like, oh, it's a 400Z. And again, like sometimes I don't know how the message gets mixed up. You built a retro car, right? It's a retro styling car.
Yeah.
Right? You're basing that on history going back to 1969, if I'm correct, with the 240Z. So you went 240Z, 260Z, 280Z, 300, 300ZX, 300ZX DETT, 350, 370. None of these cars made the actual horsepower that they were claiming. Right? Finally, you get a 400 horsepower car in a retro body, and you discard the retro name of the 400Z. It's like I said, I need to be in these rooms because, sometimes I think marketing, like you called it the Z. Is that like the Zer, the Zay? What are we? What are we? Pronouns now?
It could be. Who knows?
Pronouns? We can pronoun our cars now? No, it's a 400Z. It made 400 horsepower. It's a Z. It's a retro car. It's a 400Z. Why wouldn't you go back? So to me, again, I'm gonna die Nissan. You understand? I'm gonna die Nissan. I love my kids. I love them. Okay? I mean, I love them. I would give my life in a fucking heartbeat for any one of them. But when they mess up, I got to tell them too. When they mess up, I got to tell them. What kind of person would I be to allow you to make mistakes over and over again and not say anything? Again, I am my own master. That's why I said what I said before I started this. You won't criticize your own masters. Okay? I criticize because I want you to be better. Because I know you can be better. And without any doubt in my mind, and I mean this with all my heart, with the right people, and I mean the right people, Nissan would be so dominating that it would take years for Toyota and Honda to keep up. And I've always said this.
Honda's out the equation. Honda's. I think
Why
Honda's
they make
done.
a $40,000 4-cylinder turbo car.
I don't think their
Well,
performance side of things is just kind of like
well,
disappointing.
like I've spoken to my good friend over this many times. My friend Simon Israelian, he owns a Nissan in Bayshore. He runs it, he's the chief muckety muck there. And I'm like, Nissan's never going to be a company that sells 11 million cars like Toyota or Honda, and thank God for that, because they've become masters at stamping out steel. Can they stamp out steel better than everybody else? Absolutely, 100%. The stuff comes through the ports that's perfect.
Yeah.
Honda cars, Toyota cars are perfect. Nissan cars are perfect. But they're too big. They're too behemoth of a company. They're not going to be able to move around. Nissan is in the most unique position because they shouldn't even try to be Toyota or Honda, because Toyota and Honda can never be Nissan. And at the same time, Nissan doesn't have to be Mazda or Mitsubishi. It could literally forge its own path. It can forge its own path and build cars that people want much more cleanly, professionally. For instance, Pathfinder, huge hit. See them everywhere. They even got a forest green one. Looks dynamite. I mean, it's without a doubt the best looking Pathfinder they ever made, right?
Okay.
We got Alex over here, owns what do you got? Ford Explorer. Yeah, all right. How many different models Ford Explorer do they make? How many different models Ford Broncos do they make? How many different models Dodge 1500s do they make? How many different models? But when you go into Nissan or mostly Toyota, at least Nissan's starting to change a little bit.
Yeah.
You go to Toyota, that's your Toyota. One model, one make, everybody drives the same thing. It's a perfect car.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a flawless and perfect car. You will have no problems with this thing. Will go 200,000 miles. You change your oil, the thing is never going to give you a problem. It's also never going to give you a Woody either. Okay? It's never going to do that for you.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess, yeah.
Whereas I think Nissan is nimble enough, and they have one of the greatest, most iconic motorsports brands ever to exist, Nismo. You could be a kid in a third world digging cobalt out of some cobalt mine, and I guarantee you the kid's wearing a Nismo shirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like it's that iconic. It's that deep ingrained into the entire car culture. Which you got TRD, but not the same as Nismo.
TRD's not the same. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You got Mazda Speed, again, not the same as Nissan. Nissan has been hardcore racing. It's whether it was GTP or Le Mans or LMP racing or when they were racing a 300, they always dominated. They always made the best stuff. There was a time, and this is what I'm trying to explain. There was a time when you could buy a 300ZX, right? You could buy a 300ZX non-turbo. You could buy a 300ZX twin turbo. You could buy a 300ZX convertible, and you could buy a 300ZX 2+2.
2+2.
Yeah, that had back seats in it.
Oh wow. Okay. Never heard this.
Yeah, with a convertible, and I think the turbo model did not have it.
Are those rare 2+2s or?
Don't know. Okay. Don't care. But I'm just saying that they offered the same car in multiple models, where today, you go to, unfortunately, which again, I'm starting to see Nissan change, which is, wonderful. Like, it's just, I'm so happy about that. But again, this is where they can burn their path. They don't have to just keep stamping out cars. They can offer different models, just like how many different Challengers can you buy? Think about it. You could buy a Challenger with a 6-cylinder, and you could buy a Challenger with a Hellcat. Where can you do that? So if you can't offer, and getting back to your question, getting back, if you can't offer a better VR30, then keep the VR30 that you have in there and then offer something else. Like, it's not going to be that hard. So recently, Toyota, you just heard that announcement that they released like this new supercar, all right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
badass car, $250,000 retail price, right?
Is it if it's confirmed at 250? Yeah,
yeah,
it's gonna be
220,
somewhere.
right?
Yeah.
It probably cost them how many hundreds of millions of dollars to develop that car?
Well, that was a big controversy around coming out with another 2J. Is that
Okay, so they spent all of that money in development.
Yeah.
They built that car. Now they're going to build that car. They're going to make horsepower, new power plant engineering, money, money in design, money for the manufacturing, money for the tooling, all of that. Money. That's why it's got a $250,000 price.
Yeah.
Okay, because they're not going to sell. They're not going to sell like Ultimas. They're not going to sell like Rogues. They're going to sell like a $250,000 car.
Yeah.
So you got to make up the profit in that. But meanwhile, back at the farm, let's see, we have the most iconic brand car that ever existed. A car with, I don't know how many years 69 is, but it's got to be 50 years. It's got to be 51 years or something like that, right? You have a 51-year proven track record with one of the most iconic cars ever, okay? And you have the VR38 power plant. And somehow you didn't think of connecting those two? And let's say you decided to do that now. You would destroy. Just think of what the landscape would look like in a performance world with a VR38 powered Nissan Z. There'd be nothing. And I mean, BMW, you can go, you know what I mean? Okay, that's what you'll be doing. Okay, that's what you'll be doing. Okay, there'll be no Supra sales. Okay, there'll be no Mazda sales. There'll be only one sale. Everybody would want a VR38 powered 400 whatever at the time. You can call it the 750Z now. Okay, you put some turbos on there, drop it right in, make 750 easy peasy. And I've mentioned that to some higher ups, and their thing was, well, we don't want to take away from the Takumi's, hand built motors. And I'd be like, yeah, if you buy a GTR, you get a Takumi to build you a hand built motor. But when you buy a Z, the reason why we can lower the production cost is because we're going to send that through the same assembly line that's already doing a VR30, already doing a VQ line. It's not that much different, okay? The difference that you'll be paying for when you buy a GTR is that it's hand-built. That's what you're paying for. There's a Takumi. A guy signed his name to it. You're not going to get that in a Z, but you will get the horsepower. And that horsepower will make you competitive with everybody out there. And there would be, just think about this for a second. Borg Warner DCT transmission, which everybody has, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, right. It's a Borg Warner tranny. Is it a Borg Warner tranny?
Oh, I don't know if it's a.
The 8 HP. Is that a Borg tranny?
The 8
HP. Yeah, who makes that?
I don't think it's Borg Warner.
Okay, so let's say you have an 8 HP behind a VR38 sitting in your 400Z chassis. Okay, just that combination. So I gave you a combination. You're a car guy. You're a car guy. You swapped out of your Supra, Mark V Supra. You did the right thing. And you put an RB Nissan motor in it, right?
You're the first person who's ever said that, but all right, I'll take it.
That's because I'm a Nissan guy.
Okay.
All right? So tell me, as you're a car swap guy, tell me what better car swap in the world would it be to shoehorn that 3.8 in there, that VR38 motor with a DC tranny? Tell me what car is going to compete with that. Just think about that. GTR motor, VR38, that obviously we've already discussed. You don't even need to put a dry sump system on for 2,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
Okay? In a DCT powered transmission like it's in the new Supra. Mm-hmm. What car? There'd be no car to compete with that. None. Zero. There's no car out there that can compete with that. Zero.
I'd have to agree.
Yeah, think about it. Put the 2 J's in there. Okay, I'll smoke you with that. Put your RB in there. I'll smoke you with that. It doesn't matter.
Are you talking about imports though only, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, all right. Just gotta be, be clear.
We're men here, so we don't LS the world. Okay.
Not even that. The Coyote, the Ford
again,
guys. It's kind of
You mean the Coyote motor that basically looked at what Nissan did and copied it?
So you actually believe that?
So I've taken both of those engines apart. So, They're not.
Hold on. So you actually believe that they copied the VR38?
So first of all, okay, let's talk about copying, right? I mean,
Okay.
there's only a certain way to do a certain amount of things. Okay, so I wouldn't necessarily say they copied it, but they certainly looked at it, and they certainly learned from it, and they certainly learned a lot. You know what I mean? I mean, those cars, those engines aren't that much different, space-wise, front cover-wise, chain-wise, just the layout-wise than any of the Z platform engines. VQ and up. VQ and up. So.
Okay. Yeah, we had a podcast with Workhorse Performance, and they are in Maryland, and they build some fast GTRs there. And I think his name is Brad had mentioned that they make power the same on the dynograph, which is kind of like, I don't really know if that's
what makes power the same.
The Coyote and
and
the VR38.
And a VR or VQ.
I don't know if he was being serious. I know they go back and forth. It's like banter between them. But, they were basically saying that, that Ford had copied the VR38. And everyone went crazy because it's like, why would you say that's not true? But I mean, I don't know. It seems like you really...
I think they're very, very similar. And I think all the manufacturers look at other manufacturers, just like other shops look at other shops.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Right.
I mean, at that level of engineering, you would have to look at whatever.
What do you go to see, Michelle? Watch your car? Huh?
No, it's...
Huh? You don't go to see to watch your car. Don't lie. Okay, don't lie to me.
I mean...
You go there to look at other people's cars.
Yeah.
And while you're there, you're getting ideas and you get inspiration, and then you take it from there.
No, it's 100% true. My first SEMA show, I did the same thing.
There's nothing wrong with that, You're not going to stop it.
No,
people used to copy my stuff all the time, and and then everybody be, oh, well, that's the sincerest form of flattery.
Does it bother you though?
Sure, I think it bothers anybody that works hard for it.
So, but do you voice it? Do you voice that these people are copying, or you just kind of like let it go?
No, I just beat them. I'm a guy that if you want to F with me, I'm not a tough guy or anything like that, but I am a competitive guy. You want to shit on me because you got a new style car? I'm into, let's just say Subarus, right? Okay. So I wasn't known for Subarus. Steve came on board. He introduced me to Subarus. I'm like, who's got the fastest Subaru in the area? They said, this guy. We started doing Subarus. This guy started talking shit. He ain't the fastest no more. In fact, he ain't even in business anymore.
Oh, shit.
You know what I mean? So you want to play? I'll play. I'll take your platform and do better. So, I don't necessarily care, because by the time you copy what I'm doing, I'm probably doing something else.
Yeah.
And, you're just never going to be a winner. You're just going to be a copier, And there's combinations that work. I mean, like, how many blown alcohol motors are there? There's basically one kind of combination that everybody kind of rotates around. They use this guy's heads, this guy's blocks, this guy's cranks. So, eventually you're all going to make the same combination because you're after the same horsepower. So everything's going to be kind of similar. So
that's true.
And nothing really lasts forever. So, you just, people, I call it replicate, their R&D is replicate and duplicate. That's what I call it, or copy and paste is the new talent calls it, right? And, that's part of it, and that's part of this industry, and you can't get bent on what you already figured out,
Right.
Get bent on what you're trying to figure out, because those guys are just trying to copy what you already figured out, not what you already are looking to know. So,
right.
Just keep pushing. That's how do you stay relevant, is by keep pushing, and I love it. I love it. I love the competition. Like I said, I loved everybody I raced with. I mean, there was a couple of people that I didn't like personally, but overall, man, I was happy. People don't realize the number one guy needs the number 16 guy. Because if you only have 13 people showing up, then you only have 10 people showing up, then you only have 9 people showing up, and then all of a sudden the track's closed.
Yeah.
Right. So I want the number 16 guy to show up. He's struggling. He's at least he showed up. You could laugh at the number 16 guy, but he showed up. He put his best foot forward. He did his best. He may have qualified number 16, but that doesn't measure, his efforts. Mm-hmm. It just measures his results. And he's going to make, for his efforts, better results the next time he comes here. Believe me, everybody's ever qualified number 1, qualified number 16 somewhere. You understand?
True. Yeah.
Right. And you got to get there. And, the people that stay in it and dedicate themselves, and the sacrifices of racing is unmeasurable. That's probably the best question that you can ask anybody that's in the racing field. And you ask them in racing, what sacrifices have you made? And that alone would take up on any of us and any racer, almost on any level, it would probably take up an hour of your time because the sacrifices are so big. Family, business, finances. I didn't take this interview because I had a birthday party to go to for my great godson. And somebody said to me, he's got 2.5 million viewers. You should do that. And I said to him, but I only got one godson.
No, 100%.
So I was moving off of that. I've missed many, many birthdays, many anniversaries, many christenings, many family functions. And I've put my business up right against the wall numerous times.
Yeah.
I've been through some really beautiful, great women. I'm finally at a woman now for the last 20 years that finally gets it,
Yeah.
Thank God. But I had to buy her a race car for her to get it. That didn't cost me nothing. She's actually good at it. So, that's also the wonderful thing, she's actually pretty good at it. You sacrifice friendships. My friend, I call him my friend and my partner, Steve. I watched the sacrifices that he's made, running his Subaru, and, most races have credit card debt, are in debt, they're paying off last season to get to this season. Racing at almost any level is not a normal expense.
Right.
Like, I want to buy myself a really nice car. Okay. Let's say you want to buy yourself a nice car. Let's say you want to go out and buy yourself, 2020 Porsche 911 Turbo. All right, you're going to put whatever, 30 grand down, 40 grand down. Your monthly nut's going to be $1,500. Okay? All right, $1,500, $1,600.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd effing trade that $1,500 a month for half a season of what it takes for me to get through a season, even with this car. This car last year cost me $43,000 to race.
For the year?
Yep. And that's me building it and not breaking the motor. This motor's in here. We'll go into this season on the third year. This will be the third year on that motor at 60 pounds of boost, at 51 to 59 pounds of boost.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
You see, I learned early on, I can't brake and race. I can't brake and go racing. I can't do it. I will not be able to afford it. I can't brake and go racing. And that's why when we spun the bearings on the 2JZ earlier, it's driving me crazy because I knew I can't go racing unless I fix this. This is not going to be something that I'm going to be able to sustain.
Right.
It's just not going to happen. And so we had to figure that out, and we did. And we did. We've been talking about Nissans,
yeah.
Right? And we talked to Toyotas and some BMW stuff, but I've never actually disclosed this publicly. Like, it's crazy. What I'm about to tell you, nobody knows, and it actually has to do with Hondas. And all you Honda guys out there, yeah, I'm your daddy, along with your Evo guys. So the reason why I say that is because, and I know you're going to know what I'm talking about when I start talking about it. So, did you ever see the Ram headers, the Ram turbo headers?
The tubular, yeah.
Yeah, the tubular headers go like that, right? Honda started out with
the turbo manifold?
Yeah, the turbo manifolds. And then Honda started out with them, and then the Evos picked them up, right? Right. You know who invented that manifold?
Who invented the manifold?
Yeah. Like, where'd that manifold come from? Who came up with that idea? That's right. Your Uncle Vinny came up with that idea. Every one of you guys using that manifold, you know who to thank? Me. And I actually have a picture here.
Yeah, he'll get it.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll grab it.
So I have a picture here. And I just kind of noticed this the other day. And so this precedes the Fast and Furious. not by much. And there's a lot of controversy with that, me and the Fast and Furious. And so anyway, the New York Times, when it was actually a really good paper, they
Yeah.
okay, they did a full page article on me in the Metro section. So all your races, yeah, you've been in like Turbo Magazine and Super Street New York Times. All right. And but in there, you got good eyes, you got young eyes, right? Okay, so I want you to look right there. See that? See what's on the stand? Can you see that?
I can't really. It looks like the Manifold, right?
Looks like the Manifold.
Yeah, on the bottom. It's
That's
kinda hard
right.
to see.
So when is this dated? It's up there. Tell me that date right there.
June 21st, 1998.
Okay. So if you can predate that Manifold from that day, you can have my shop. Okay? I'm the one who invented that Manifold, and there was a reason why I invented it. Okay? So the reason why we invented that Manifold, real quick, is that Hondas. So on the older body Hondas, like 89 Civics, they had a cross member with 2 torsion bars.
Okay.
So when you put the manifold on, a turbo manifold, the turbo would sit so low, it would either hit the cross member or you couldn't get a regular oil line to drain. Right. So I was walking into Cook's Headers, because they were the ones who always built my headers for me. Mm-hmm. And I said, listen, we're going to solve this problem because there's no way I'm going to put this together. We put a B18 motor in there. Mm-hmm. Again, no money, so we B18B, not a C, VTEC motor, just regular B18. And again, we were going to face that problem because it was a torsion bar car. That's what made the bubble back so good, because it went to a different suspension and it didn't have the torsion bar. Okay? It didn't have the torsion bar and didn't have the cross member in the front. So I wasn't going to, no way was I going to just put a manifold on there and have the same problems with the oil draining and the car smoking and coming back up through the turbo. So I go to Cook's. Go see George over there, and as I'm walking into the building, okay, and George is a friend of mine, like everyone that deals with me, we become friends, because I want it that way. There's money, there's always going to be money involved, there's going to be something, but like the friendship is worth more to me than the money, and that's how I treat Carrillo, Ferrera, these people, I know them, I know Zeke's family. That's running Ferrera today. I know the people at Carrillo. I actually dealt with people that actually started both of those companies. So I'm like, Grant, I've been with both of these companies for 40 years. I mean, if Vinny needed something, I wouldn't even have to hesitate to ask. These people would send it in a heartbeat, but I never ask. That's one of my things. So really good relationship, and I'm walking into his place, and outside of his place, he had a big white van. And as I'm walking up to the door, it's a Dodge van. And as I'm about to grab my hand on the door, I stop and I look at the emblem. It's a Dodge emblem with a ram on it, with the headers with the ram like that. And I go, what if instead of going down, I go up? So I go in there. I speak to I think his name, I think it was Jorge. He's actually still in business with American Racing, because him and his partner actually started, Nick, started American Racing.
Are they local?
No, they were. They were in Long Island, but they had to move because you can't run a big motorsports business in New York, which we can get to in a minute. So I looked at that and I'm like, okay, I got an idea. Now I got the idea. I walked in. I told him, give me tube. Can we do it like this? He's like, yeah, I can do it like that. I said, you can put the flange right here. He's like, yeah. I put the turbo right there. I'm like, made that header. And from that point on, every single person copied it. But that was the first one. And if anybody can predate that, and remember, that's on the engine stand, so that's already been done. So by 98, it was already done. I think we probably did it in 97. So that Ram header, you're welcome. A little Vinny Ten tidbit there.
One of the things that most people probably want to know, since it's a V6 platform, is if you should run single turbo or a twin turbo. Now, you mostly run twin turbo, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you have anything that's like big single turbo, which is kind of like what you normally see on a V8 or V6, and that kind of configuration. So
sure, but so there's actually some controversy there.
Okay.
So I know obviously I didn't even know you were going to answer me that question.
Yeah, I was on the note, so.
But there is some controversy there. So it's kind of stupid controversy because and I'm not going to say who, because I know they're working on it.
Okay.
But for a number of years, I've been banished from certain classes of racing because I'm a twin turbo guy.
Okay.
And most of the stuff is single turbo stuff. And so they really didn't have a rule package for me. And, where I can compete in the classes that I should be competing in.
Yeah.
And real problem, because the whole world in import racing is either RB or 2J.
2J, yeah.
Oh, everybody's got an inline 6. But I'm going to tell you something interesting after I make this statement. But, V6s and VR30s and VR38s and VQ35s, not the two previous, but certainly the VR38 is going to take over the world. And in every V8 racing class, there's twin turbo rules. So how could you have a V6 or be any different than having, not being able to have a twin turbo rule package? Yeah. If you've seen the work that Kyle did on his car to set up that single, it's ridiculous. Okay,
yeah.
it's absolutely the kid's phenomenal, right? Yeah. But you're talking about a $20,000 turbo kit or a $20,000 turbo kit.
Yeah.
Where you could just buy 2 manifolds from Jim Wolf and put them on your car for, $600 or something like that, or whatever, $1,200. So as far as I'm concerned, if you have a V6, without a doubt, you should be able to have a twin turbo rule package for you. And we need that, and we need that fast, because what you're stopping is V6s from coming into the marketplace. Okay?
Okay.
And let's be honest, all of these cars came twin turbo. So the 300ZX came twin turbo, so I'm supposed to make it a single. The VR38 came twin turbo, so I'm supposed to make it single. The VR30 came twin turbo, I'm supposed to make it single. The Kia Sting is twin turbo. Should I make that a single too? I mean, so we can't figure out a rules package for a twin turbo package. So that's one of the problems running a twin turbo, is that and what makes this even more insane, you ready for this? That in some of the classes that I was petitioning to race against, the V8s had twin turbos. It's crazy, right? Yeah. They're not going to let a V6 have twin turbos. So the V8s can have twin turbos, but the V6s can't. It's got to stop. Yeah. So from that standpoint, the other kind of position that question poses is, what do I think works better?
Yeah.
So in 2003, my car went 760 at 176, 177, I think. Well, maybe 178. Mm-hmm. And I had an 88 millimeter single turbo on my car. And so, I kicked everybody's ass. They were going to slow me down. So they were going to change the single turbo size. Mm-hmm. And that would affect me mostly because I didn't run the methanol.
Right.
I just ran C16. So a smaller turbo was going to have a bigger effect on me than somebody running meth with a single.
Right.
So I said, well, the car came twin turbo. And I ran the year before in this kind of bastardized twin turbo setup. Went fast. It didn't go as fast as I want, but it went fast. And I learned a lot from it. I learned a lot, actually, from it. And so I said to them, okay, well, I don't want to run a single anymore. They wanted to go from an 88, I think, to an 81 or 82. Mm-hmm. And I was like, hey, what if I want to go back to the original car, the way the car was set up with the original twin turbo setup? They said, sure. I was shocked. I said, and again, this is what happens when guys that don't know how to make power or don't know how to go fast, or, even this happens when people try to slow, class down. Yeah. The people that are making the rules have no idea how to make a car go fast. So you're not going to have any idea on how to slow it down. And I took advantage of that.
Yeah.
I knew, not that I was smarter, I just had more knowledge than they did. Mm-hmm. So they come back to me and they go, okay, you could run 2 61 millimeter turbos or 1 81 millimeter turbo. Now, I don't know how this got through, because I don't know how they did that, like how they decided that was green lighted. Because the last time I looked at 61 and 61 was 122.
Yeah, I'm just like, wait, what? Okay.
So I said, okay. And then I proceeded to go with that same car, 730 at 191. And I talked earlier about torque.
Yeah.
Well, the smaller turbos were, one, easier to spool,
Okay.
and two, made more torque lower end. And I didn't need to wind the motor up to 7,000 or 6,000 RPM to leave it alone.
True.
It made the torque low enough where I had a bigger RPM range, and it ran through it. And that's why everybody with the single was going 740s at 181, 182, and I was, going 12 miles an hour faster than them, going 191 miles an hour. And my car was heavier. And part of the rule, again, advertising content always dictates editorial content. And, sponsors always dictate the rules. So one of the other rules that they decided to do was that, like on a Solara or a front-wheel drive car, well, you can cradle that car, right? You can cradle that car and put a 2JZ in there. But if your car came with a longitude-mounted motor, you had to run the stock subframe. So these guys already had a distinct advantage that they were taking the front-wheel drive cars, making them rear-wheel drive, and able to cradle them and strut them. And I couldn't. And that's just one of those things where sponsorship, and I won't say who it was.
Okay.
I won't even, all I can tell you is that I rolled up right next to the guy in tech that they were teching that had the cradle in his frame. And here I am, because again, he had a front wheel drive car.
Yeah.
And he converted it to rear wheel drive. So they were able to cradle the whole front of the car. Okay? It's a big, big advantage. Okay? In fact, it's such a big advantage. So I pull up. I go, how is that car legal and my car not able to do that? They got the same motor. There's the same car. Oh, that's because it was front wheel drive. I'm like, yeah. So now it's got a cradle, right? And he's like, yeah. And so now our two cars are the same. A car with a cradle and strut is the same. You're considering that the same car.
Yeah.
As a car with a stock cradle and a stock strut. And I'm still friends with this guy today. I still speak to him. And he goes, yeah. And I go, well, in your NHRA rule book for the domestics, you have two different classes for that. So how come it's different in the domestic classes, but not domestic here? And he goes, we're not going to address that. And that was that. So anyway, getting back to the twin turbo stuff. It's just one of those caveats where they were trying to slow me down and put people with distinct advantages against me. Pretty much because of, the sponsorship in which they were operating under.
Okay.
And it just didn't work out for them. They had, so here I am beating them with a back half only car running C16 on two small turbos or a single turbo. I did it to them in 2003. And the funny thing is, everybody that kind of had the HKS twin turbo setup on that were running that, they all went to the 81 single, and I took the 81 single off and put twin turbos on and beat you some more. So that's what we did in 2004, and that was very successful. So I'm a big believer, whether an inline six, and when the Supra comes out, it's going to have that same header. I still have the headers. So the Supra is going to come out, and it'll have the two scoops on the hood, and it'll be twin turbo because that's how it ran in its last, formation before the wreck.
So the answer between the two is obviously it seems like twin turbo is a better option in terms of you need the torque. Obviously, that's
now everybody's going to. There's going to be probably the most controversial thing we actually said on this is probably this subject alone, where people are going to talk about the single being better and building boost and having more horsepower. I mean, I've been going through it for forever. I've been fighting that battle. But, the simple fact is the world's fastest turbo cars are twin turbo.
Really?
Yeah. They're not single. They're twin.
So give me some examples here.
Okay. Josh Taylor's car, that went 511 at 260 is a twin turbo V8.
Okay.
So all the fast turbo cars are twin turbo.
So no single. So single doesn't even come close, maybe, or is it like?
Well, if it did, everybody would have a single, right?
I just see it a lot. So
there are. It's cheap. You don't have to buy. Listen, it's expensive
to do a twin turbo setup.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
2 wastegates, 2 turbos, 2 blow-off valves, lots of piping. It's expensive. It's much more expensive, but I believe it's better. And so whenever I can, I'm always going to run a twin.
Is there a big difference between the V configuration and the inline?
Yeah.
When you're running a twin versus single?
It's just a piping nightmare to pipe one side of the car all the way over to the other side of the car. And even if you put that turbo in the middle, then it really takes away its ability to have a radiator. So if we were running something like this in a street tire car, the amount of fabrication, again, I've seen the fabrication that Kyle went through on his car. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But from a cost standpoint, this is so much easier. I don't have to do the front end of the car.
Right.
I don't have to move the radiator. You know, I don't have to do any of that. It all sits there. And really, for a weight bias, I want it back as far back as I can get it anyway.
Right.
I don't want to put weight all the way out on the nose. So for me, I think twin is definitely the way to go in any kind of V6 configuration.
But what about the inline 6?
I would do inline 6, yeah. Like
So
my
I don't
2J,
even
my
know-
2J had, like I said, in 2004, my 2J was twin turbo.
But I don't even know how you had, like, how do
3
you...
into 1.
Okay. And then you were able to kind of fit that into the...
Absolutely.
Okay. And you don't have any issues with, like, heat or anything like that, all on that one side of the engine or nothing?
No, what I did experience, which I won't do, I had 2 scoops up, big scoops.
Okay.
And as I was driving, I realized it was catching too much air, and I would drift over. And there's actually a video on my YouTube channel that you want, if you want, you can lift, or the guys will get it to you or whatever. You can see that, like it's like pop, 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 pop. I take off, the car makes a move, and then as it goes, you can just see the car drifting because it's actually catching the scoop. So when I do come back out with it, I'll just make the hood flat, and so you'll see the turbos, but you won't have as much, scoop out there, holding it back. It'll just be the turbos then.
And that had nothing to do with the crash at all, right?
No, not at all.
So I don't want to overlook the VQ platform. Of course, that's a pretty popular platform. And I wanted to ask you a little bit more of technical questions on that platform as far as building it and so on.
Sure.
So I'm sure you get a lot of those coming in the shop, and I'm not sure what people nowadays are really trying to do with them, but let's say, like you said, the rods are the weak part of that engine, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's say if you wanted to make anything past that, what are you doing nowadays aside from just the
So the
connecting
cranks
rods?
are great in that motor.
Okay.
VQ35, 37 cranks are some of the best cranks ever, which always drives me crazy because they connect the piston and a great crank with a shitty rod. Like, you put a good piston in there, you put a great crank in there, and you put like $1.99, Five Below rod in there, which just drove me crazy. Most of the series plays that come here with a 350Z, 370 is a little better because 370 you can get away with about 500 horsepower.
Okay.
So
without having to open up the engine?
without having to open up. So the 37 motors are definitely better than the 35 motors. Even the HR motors I'm not sold on. I don't think they got much of a better rod. But those guys just come in and they build a car. They build a motor and they put a turbo kit on it. And, it's 35 grand. There's no, when I first started building cars for 10, 15 grand, you could build a car. And then, went to 20 and then 25. But today, after the last administration, after the taxes and the inflation that went on, you're looking at now 30, 35 grand to build these cars. And that's why I was saying this. It's 35 grand to build this car. It's 35 grand to build the new Z. It's all the same. I mean, maybe less because it has, good fuel system in there already. It's got a bunch of things already. But yeah, it takes about 35 grand to build one of these cars. But when you're done, you got a 600 horsepower car on pump gas with a brand new motor. And if the bodies are usually clean, and you got a nice car with, low insurance, one-time price,
Can you make more than 600?
Oh, I could make on a street.
If you're spending $35,000.
If you're on a street, I like to keep it around 850.
Okay.
That's kind of where I'd like you to be. After that, we got to start doing more expensive stuff.
Okay, so that takes it to the next level. Obviously, it's going to be more than $35,000. Now, that $35,000, does that include...
Well, that includes fuel system,
That's
coolant
what I'm saying.
system.
So it's to build the whole car
Yeah,
to run
the
that.
whole car.
Not just the engine
No.
alone. Okay. So
Engines are around, a good engine for me is about between 12 and 14,000. Right
To build
there.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, are you doing anything with the cylinder heads?
Yeah, yeah.
Are you porting them? Do you even have to? Do you see any massive gains from doing a port on the heads?
Porting on a VQ is very tricky.
Okay.
They have overheating problems. They have cylinder head gasket problems. So by removing more and more material, you just transfer that heat more and more. So it's really important that when you port them in the right spot, in the right way. So yes, porting is absolutely part of it. Putting a bigger valve in there is part of it.
Okay.
Putting a good cam in there, like from Jim Wolf, makes some great bolting cams. And again, the cranks are fine. And you just Corilla rod, CP piston. I make my own style piston for this.
Okay.
So we do have a custom piston, but I can build you something, like I said, for more of the $12,000 or $11,000 area.
Okay.
With more shelf parts than custom parts inside. But if you're looking for that 850, you're going to have to, put the HD rod in there. You're going to have to put one of my custom pistons in there. That's, and that'll bring it up to about 14,000. But again, I have a, no problem with that. You drag racing that motor at 1,000 horsepower. I only want to see you do it around 800, 850 in the street. But if you were drag racing that motor, we can turn that up to 1,000 horsepower.
So the engine can make more than 850, but on the street, you're saying 850 is probably what
Yeah.
You can push
and
it
it's
more.
fast at 850 in these cars. It's fast.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so.
It's fast. Well, they feel fast too.
Yeah.
It's it's not as smooth as like, I drive the BMW high horsepower. It's a little smoother. It's especially all-wheel drive. So, this being rear-wheel drive, you need to be a little bit more, driver.
Okay. So, what's the best VQ engine then to build? Because you didn't really say which, like, if you're building this engine for $35,000, is it going to be DE, Rev Up, HR? What is it going to be?
I would say the platform that I would probably start with if I was just getting in. So I was going to buy a used car. What platform would I buy, right? I'd probably buy the VQ37 platform.
Oh, the 37.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so I can put a turbo kit or a supercharged kit on and make it 500 horsepower and never touch the motor.
Okay. What about on the 35?
35, you're going to have to build a motor.
So DE, what should you be looking at?
Oh, I mean, as far as like, so the way the VQ history went, as far as the 3.5 liter went, it went VQ35 DE, VQ35 Rev Up,
right.
VQ35 HR.
Right.
The HR motors are the best.
Now, prior to building them or when you build them?
Both.
Okay. So,
but they're different motors. See, VQ HR motors are more like VQ37 and more like GTR motors. They are what I call bed plate motors. They don't have individual main caps. They have a whole plate system that goes on there, which changes the entire dynamic and rigidity of the motor.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're more, HR is more like the VR series than it is more like the VQ series.
Okay. So why do you run a DE?
Because that's what came with the car.
So you just left it that way because it came with, there was no other reason for running that.
That's because, there is.
They're just saying, because if HR is the best, why wouldn't you run a HR?
Because everybody says that this motor can't make power, that this motor lifts heads, that this motor overheats. Well, I've been proving that wrong since 2005, and now we're up to 1,400 horsepower, and I still don't lift any heads on this thing. So, so it's just, listen, be grateful I only took the VQ35 DE motor. That's what I said. Be grateful. If I'm doing that with a VQ35 DE, can you imagine if I really wanted to do something with a different motor? Right.
True.
Again, I got a lot of cards in my back pocket. You want fuel? You want a different VQ? I could put a VQ40 in there. You wouldn't even know it was in there.
True. That's true.
Right. You wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
Now I'm a 4-liter. You don't know. You have no idea. I built a 4-liter motor. You would have, unless you pulled it apart and measured the bores, which you're not going to do.
Yeah.
Okay. You wouldn't even know. Okay. And that's also a better motor. The VQ40, no matter what year, is a better motor than the 35.
Do you guys do any sleeving? Is that even a thing? Like,
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I love sleeving.
Okay.
I love sleeving a block. It makes all the difference in the world. A lot of people don't like sleeving blocks. I've learned a lot about sleeving blocks, so it always works for me now.
Okay.
I did have, in the very, very beginning, one engine that kind of dropped the sleeve. And again, it's notorious in the Honda world.
Yeah.
And so, again, do your homework. And what I found out, I was I couldn't believe that other companies did it this way.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the right way of doing it. And so there was one company that I still do business with today that makes the sleeve the correct way. And I won't tell you how that is.
No, that's fine. You don't have to.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to go into this specifics, but I was just asking.
We were the first to use a fire lock ring. I mean, I used the fire lock ring,
So you do that too.
which we actually called the Cooper ring, which was actually made by Federal Mogul for, believe it or not, Ferrari turbo motors and diesel turbo motors in Europe. And I found this part number in Federal Mogul, and I said, you know what? I'm going to try this. And that was the first really ringing the block. And I still have those.
So,
So now everybody does it like they're a genius, And I pull out and I'm like, yeah, 2005 right here. This is what we were using in 2005. Oh, but we insert ours in the deck. So was this. So, where they inserted.
Yeah.
So we were doing that in 2005. And that's why I said, like in the beginning, these guys, we're the first. No, you weren't. But I'm over here. I'm in New York. I run a great shop. It's not that important to me. I go racing. You know what? If you guys want to talk S on whatever, go ahead, knock yourselves out.
Do you guys do any filling, concrete filling or epoxy or anything like that now?
So, epoxy seems to be making the rounds again. So epoxy was, something that was played with years ago. Supposedly there's some new epoxies out.
Yeah, I've seen you.
There's sometimes when you sleeve a block that you're going to need that because of the way the sleeve was installed.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. I can honestly say that I would say 60% of all sleeves installed are installed incorrectly. They're going to weaken the block. You've seen that, remember, with all the crack GTR blocks. Remember when they were cracking the blocks?
Are you talking about the VR38?
Yeah, VR30. You remember that? Yeah.
I don't remember, but I heard about it from T1. No,
Yeah.
sorry, not T1. AMS.
Yeah.
Martin was talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I knew what the problem was right away. Right away. And the reason why I know what the problem was because I did it on a VQ block. See?
Okay.
So I knew exactly who they were using and what was causing it. Well, that's why a lot of people walked away from sleeving, right? That's why they don't sleeve a VR30 block, VR38 block, right? Because they, whether they're sleeving or, the blocks are cracking.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why they use a stock block. The stock block doesn't crack. And how come the sleeve block cracks?
So you're saying that the sleeves are installed incorrectly for the most part. That's why it caused the VR38 blocks to crack.
That is correct. And I kind of confirmed that with the guys over at T1. So T1, what they were doing is that they were drilling down into the valley of the block to run an extended rod, extended stud. But it still happened.
Okay.
So they still had problems.
So that ruled out that issue.
So that kind of ruled out that issue. I'm not sure if it still happened for T1, but I think in the process of them figuring it out, and I think they did figure it out, I would think they figured it. I don't know that for a fact. Like I called over there for some bearing clearances because on some rods that they sold me.
Yeah.
And, within, an hour, I had the answer. The real answer.
Right.
Like, we can't give that to you. That's the engine builder specs. I'm like, hey, your name is going to be on my car. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm on your team. You know what I mean? Whether it's AMS or T1 in this particular case. Just been working with T1.
Yeah.
I love the guys at AMS. They're great guys over there too. We do business with them, but on this hardcore stuff, all of the other relationships that I had on this program were also connected to them.
Okay.
So like Magnus was connected to him. Shane was connected to him. So it just made everything a lot easier when I decided, okay, who am I going to start buying parts from? I'm not going to make parts. I got to buy them.
Right.
So, and I made that decision. And again, no disrespect to AMS. They do a
No, not at all.
phenomenal job out there. I've actually learned some things from them. So, another great company out there. But there's no AMSs here. There's no T1s here. There's no Titan. There's no Real Street. There's no big domestic or import anywhere in New York, or basically Long Island 5 boroughs. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is because it's almost impossible to run one of these businesses in the Northeast. I mean, right off the bat, not even saying anything, where we stand, middle of my shop.
Yeah.
You know why we could stand in the middle of my shop at 6 o'clock at night? Because it's January. So every year, oh, your sales numbers aren't as good as the guy over there, so we can't give you the discount. The guy over there is in Georgia. He's got 12 months of selling. I got 9 months of selling. My season is 9 months. His season is 12 months. If you look at my numbers, what I do in 9 months, it's almost as much as he does in 12 months. I'm actually doing better than him. But they only see the final number. So one of the big drawbacks is that we have a very short season. Basically, pretty much, I mean, I'm grateful because I've been around for, a long time. So I'm pretty steady in the winter. But it does get slow and it does get scary sometimes. You know, you get a little scared. But that's one of the many. Employment, labor. Labor here in New York is astronomical. It's just astronomical. It's crazy. It's, these guys, you're not going to get good talent for cheap pricing.
What's labor in New York on average? Just for people who know, because it's different in Florida than anywhere else.
My lowest tech makes over 90 grand a year.
Okay. Well, I mean, quick math. What is that? Labor-wise, an hour? Like, how does that work?
Oh, like what's the labor rate or
the labor rate? Correct.
Labor
correct.
Rate.
Not
labor
not
rate.
that.
Labor rate here.
Well, shout out to your $90,000 salary guy.
Hey, that's my lowest guy. Okay, it goes up from there. Okay, but 175.
Okay.
And on long-term jobs, we actually reduce that if the job goes out more than 2 weeks. So if it goes out more than 2 weeks and we know it's going to be a more than 2 week job, it's a big build, we'll bring it down to between 150 and 125.
Okay.
So we try to work on the longer jobs with less.
Yeah.
And it averages out. It basically averages out to about 100 and, at the end of the month, it basically averages out to about $155 to $160 per hour of labor.
Okay. That's pretty, it's not too far off in Florida. Some shops are charging
well,
the same
the
thing.
Beautiful thing is that, a few years ago, more than a few years ago, but a couple of years ago, we were looking to maybe move, right? You know, it's really tough here. You can't grow, taxes, insurance.
Yeah.
Do you know how much a square foot in Long Island costs? You have any idea the square footage prices in Long Island?
I'm not familiar anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's some, right? Highest in the country. Highest commercial stuff in the country.
Oh, commercial.
Yeah, commercial.
Oh, wow.
Some of the highest commercial square foot, highest commercial insurance, highest commercial rent, highest labor rates, shortest season. So really, if you were to look at this from a purely business ROI investment, you would not do that. No disrespect to the dealer mechanics, but this ain't putting, part that came from the dealer into the exact dealer card that it was made for.
Right.
That's, do you know what I mean? We get cars that, and I've said this on my own videos, USDM, JDM, AU, and UA. All of these parts could fit any one of those cars, and all of the parts can fit those cars. So, everything that goes into your car kind of has to be massaged. And,
right.
And so you're never going to beat like a book time to put in a left front strut from the dealer, gives you 0.8 to do it. Yeah, it takes me 4 hours to put a suspension in your car. By the time I set up the coilovers, take them out of the box, pre-lube them, put them in, pre-adjust them, get them in.
That's about right, yeah. 4 hours, yeah.
Yeah, minimum. And then I got to give you a height adjustment and alignment. Mm-hmm. My guys are so dedicated. Without a doubt, the most dedicated crew I've ever had, and I've had a lot of crews, but this crew is super dedicated. They don't look at the clock; they look at the job. They want to finish the work. They understand. It's taken a little while, but they understand what Wednesday means. Wednesday means that we got 2 days left to finish this car, or I got a day left to finish this car and 2 days left. You know, they understand what Friday means, that all cars got to be pretty much buttoned up for a pickup Friday night or Saturday. They understand what the end of the month means. You know what I mean? They understand that they got to push the cars out, you know, really hustle to get these cars out.
One of the things that you used to and still do kind of rant about is shops doing bad work, and those shops doing bad work, and then you have to fix their problems when they come into the shop. Now, it's honestly probably a good thing for you because now, you know, you're getting more customers, but I'm sure you have to deal with a lot more when it comes to taking apart these cars and dealing with the nonsense, right?
The whole purpose of why the video started was because
this is from back in it, like I'm talking about years back.
So again, the whole reason why these videos started, and you've seen how long I've been ranting about this, right? So this has been going on for forever. You yourself was a victim, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, you were a victim, right? And we talked about that, like, for briefly, right?
Right.
You wanted to go with your boys that, you know, kind of sound like you and looked like you and was your age. And they were hanging out with the cool ones, and all my cool friends brought my cool car over to there. And then you got, right? Okay. And what makes me upset, just so that everybody knows this, what makes me upset is not that you didn't come to me. I'm not going to fix every car. I'm not going to build every car. I'm not going to work on every car. That I already know. What makes me upset is that if you don't have the financial ability to collect your shit that's completely molested and bring it to another shop and then pay them to do it, that takes one more person out of the game. That takes one more person out of our industry. That takes one more potential guy to go to a racetrack. Takes one more potential guy to buy a turbo. Takes one more potential guy to build the next car. Because when your girlfriend, not yours, not mine, but everybody's girlfriend, once they know you got screwed over and you spent 30 grand, 20 grand, 15 grand, you think that sell to your girlfriend that you're going to bring it to the next shop, got to spend another 15 or 20 grand is going to go over well for most middle-class people? No, it's not going over well. That shit's going to be rusted in your backyard with weeds going through the hood. All right?
True. Yeah.
Okay, that's exactly what's going to happen. So it takes you out of the game. So here was a guy that was enthusiastic, had some ability, had some knowledge, and just fell in with the wrong people. And they just fucked you over. Like, I hate those people that do that. Like, if you're going to be a thief, be a good thief. Go out there and rob something. Don't be going out there robbing people that are trying to live their dream through you.
Yeah.
You know, you sign up for a dream and they deliver a nightmare, and it's like, you know, there's no criminality out of that? No, there's some criminality out of that. And unfortunately, it's never going to get prosecuted because it's too hard to prove. But there's other ways that we get back at you. And one of those ways, you know, I decided was to expose those shops that do shit work. Now, I don't name them because I don't want to be, you know, sued or anything like that. But, you know, I pretty much make it so that you pretty much know who I'm talking about, you know. And if you don't like it, my front door's there. You're more than welcome to come in and have a conversation and justify it, okay?
Yeah.
And my back door's there, too. Because when I'm done with you, that's the way you're going out. You ain't going out the same way you came in. Okay? We're not playing that game here. Well, like, these guys work hard at perfecting their craft. Meanwhile, you know, you're just bullshitting away, giving it to some people that really shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Okay? Even if they finish the car, which is actually, it's actually worse if they finish the car. Okay? Than if they don't finish it. Because the work is so bad that when you drive that car, you can literally be killed in that car. Okay? We have seen enough stuff and documented enough stuff that will get you killed. Why? Because nobody in our world, nobody in an industry drives in the right-hand lane at 50 miles an hour. Nobody does that.
Yeah.
Okay? You get a clutch in the car. I see it happen all the time. You come out my parking lot, you make a right-hand turn, and whack! Womp, 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 womp. You're on the car because that's what you paid for. You didn't come here to go slow.
Yeah. It's true.
You came here to go fast. And so now you're going to drive a faster car that's put together even worse than when it came in. I mean, I mean, I don't expect you to go check out some of my videos, but I mean, and I'm not saying anybody else should either. I'm not trying to promote myself, but
I've seen some videos.
I mean,
I've seen some videos, yeah.
it's just the shit that I've seen. It's been so crazy, like loose ball joints. Like this car literally just comes out of a shop, and it's going in there for performance work, and they pulled the car out, and Joey goes, or somebody comes up to me, and we just took the wheel and we go, boom, 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 boom. Like the ball joint's gonna fall. Like it's so loose that even, it's supposed to be preloaded. You're not supposed to even move that. No cotter pins with loose tie rods. Screws going through gas tanks.
I saw that one. Yeah.
Fuel lines rubbing on steering shafts.
Yeah.
So fuel lines on transmission lines on downpipes. I mean, the amount of shit. I don't even remember it's so much. And, we got 2 cars right here. We're building 2 cars right now from these individuals, from these thieves. They're thieves. They're thieves, and they don't belong in my business. This is my business, and I'm not the best. I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best. What I'm saying is there's a lot of good shops out there.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to pay for it. Okay? There are no cheap deals here. There is no deal here. The best deal you're going to get, like I said to you before, is that you pay for what you get and it's delivered somewhat on time. If you can guarantee those 2 things, then you're doing better than 99.9% of the shops. That's why I have Yarrick, the monster. He's dedicated to one thing, big jobs. When that big job comes off, the next big job's already waiting. He's that guy. Then I have Joey. Joey does the 1 to 3 day jobs. Anything that you think you can get done in 3 days, that kid can do it.
Yeah.
Okay? No bullshit. That talented. Then I have, Steve, tuning, selling, and installing 20 hours a week. These guys are working hard at their craft. Okay? They all came in as grease monkeys. We all came in as grease monkeys. Okay? We're all grease monkeys. Oh, oil changes, lube guys. Okay? Grease monkeys. Okay? And then we may have become mechanics. And maybe if you spend a little time, you might become a technician. Okay? And then you may spend the last of the time, becoming a master tech. These guys blew by that in their 20s. These guys are craftsmen. They're not mechanics. They're craftsmen. When I build an engine and I'm pointing ahead, I'm not an engine builder. I'm a fucking artist. I'm creating. Okay? My creation is horsepower. Their creation is perfection. So when you look at one of our cars and you look at it, that's right. Everything looks right. Everything's in place. Nothing is rubbing. Nothing is rubbing up even next to each other. Nothing is, when you look at everything, everything's in place, and it has a place, and it needs to stay in place. Because turbo cars love to do one thing, make you look stupid and blow up. All the guys out there, you guys are in comment land. You take a normally aspirated car, you unplug the fuel pressure regulator signal line, the little vacuum line on a normally aspirated car. You take that, it's leaking vacuum. Yeah, you might pop a check engine light. You should have run for the next 30,000 miles like that. Okay? That same line on a 1-to-1 regulator on a turbo car, that line pops up, and the first time you're in boost, you melt your motor.
Yeah.
Gun. Just like that, from one single vacuum line. One. Out of a myriad of many. One boost line. Oh, I think this boost line goes here on the wastegate instead of here. Okay.
That actually happened to me.
Okay, there you go.
I didn't blow the motor, but I had a wastegate issue like that.
Yeah.
It was, I didn't talk about it, but it could have ended really, really bad.
Yeah.
That's important. It's scary because you spend a lot of money on this, and it's like that.
There you go. See, now it just hit home.
Yeah.
See, now it just hit home.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. You spent a lot of money on it, and if that motor would have blown, and it would have been gone like that, and you knew that you were that close to it, it gave you that pit in your stomach, okay? Because you can't afford to do it again.
It's true.
So it takes a good guy like you. Can you imagine, Tukes, if you think about this for a second, just exactly what I was saying. Think about it. You came in, you blew that motor. You would have shit on this industry. You wouldn't be doing what you're doing right now. You would have left it. You would have said, you know what? This ain't for me. I blew my shit up. It's 30 grand. I'm spending money. I'm not an idiot. I got to get out. And you would have been gone. But instead, you saved yourself and you went on to fight another day. And here you are.
Yeah,
and that's
true,
exactly what I'm talking about, is why I hate those shops. Is because they remove potentially really incredible, talented, good people into our industry by you hurting them. It's like beating a baby before he's like 1 year old. You know, you're beating him to a defenseless person.
Right.
And they're never going to grow up, and they're never going to be in this, they're never going to be normal. And it's the same thing. You're going to get out of this. And believe me, I've seen it all the time where, they come in and they're like, listen, can I just put a stock motor in my car? They're like, listen, I just got my car out of so-and-so. I just need to get it up and running. I need an extra car. And you see all the parts, and you see the half-built motor that they did, and you're like, you actually kind of want to do it almost for free, and we do a lot of that. Like, we give away a lot. We do a lot. Like, it doesn't seem like we do a lot for a lot of people, but we do a lot. But there's only so much I can do, to help you out of that situation before I'm in that situation.
So what do you recommend for people who are looking to get into this kind of, motorsports, or maybe building a car and looking for a shop, and they're on Google reviews and trying to figure out what shop to go to? That seems to be the common thing, where people are trying to figure out where to go. They've heard some bad things. There's some bad reviews and so on. Like, how do you know exactly where to go for what you're doing? And maybe some younger people may not even know what you've done. Like, for example,
no, you don't know.
Right. So
you don't know. You're in this industry, right?
Right. So I didn't know until Nero told me that you were a Supra guy, and me growing up, I always thought you were a 350Z guy.
Right.
So you don't.
That's again, like I said, a whole generation passed, and they don't even know who I am. And I know that because when I come in here, when I talk to some of these guys, I know it's like, like talking to you, you didn't know.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something.
Okay.
Important stuff, right? Important things, right? Let's talk about your lovely girlfriend.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right, I'm listening.
Okay. By any chance, when you went to go meet her, did you check it out on a Google review?
Nah, I didn't.
You sure? I mean, maybe she only got 3 stars. Who knows?
Nah, I didn't. Nah.
Why? Why didn't you go on Google? Why? Because it's an important decision.
Yeah.
It's a really important decision, right?
Yeah.
So how the fuck are you going to make an important decision by not ever showing up and meeting the people? You're not making a decision. Other people are making a decision for you.
That's true. Right.
So if you want to go and you want to find the shop, you get off your ass, you put your phone in your back pocket, and you drive to the shop, and you go meet with them. And if they have 30 cars outside, run. Because your car will be fucking 31. And he will be paying, when you give him a deposit, he will be paying for number 14. That's how far back you are.
Oof.
Okay? So you go there, you make sure they have, if it's a 5-car shop, 5-bay shop, okay, have 10 cars outside. That's reasonable. That's for tomorrow's work and some long-term work. You go there, and there's 30 cars there. Then the second thing, you got to look at how many people work for him. How many people are working for you? You got 30 cars in the shop. How many people are working for you? Ooh. Oh, it's me and my guy. You sure?
Yeah.
That's not a Google review question, right? You're not going to get that from Google reviews.
Okay. This is really good advice, by the way.
You go there.
I'm laughing
you meet with the guy. You look him in the eye. You shake his hand. You talk to him. And by the way, if you're a newbie and you don't know a lot, bring somebody that does. Don't be embarrassed about what you don't know. True. Don't be embarrassed what you don't know. You're not supposed to know it. You haven't experienced the experience yet. So you're going to go through an experience. Bring somebody that may have been, through the experience before that knows a little bit more than you. Because what happens here is that if I know more than you, right, it's easy for me to convince you that I know a lot. Even though I only may know just a little bit more than you. But if I'm a good talker and I'm a good BSer and I'm a good salesman, I don't need to know much more than you. I just need to know more than you to make that sale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and you'll be convinced. And you were. So it did work. And it worked on a fairly educated guy, somewhat knowledgeable, and it worked.
Yeah.
When you went into that shop, how many cars did he have outside?
That's probably more than 30.
Okay.
Not going to lie.
I know.
It was definitely more than 30 cars.
So here I'm talking to Tukes, Alpha Podcast, this big guy, and yet you did exactly what I'm trying to stop other people from doing.
It's true.
So, don't go to Google reviews. Don't go to Google. Don't go on Instagram. I can make this place look like Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
You know, if I want to section it off and do something cool or whatever. There's not even a sign on my building.
You want to know the truth about why I did that, though? It was because I didn't think that person would do it to me. Because
nobody does.
Yeah. I didn't think that. I was just like, there's no way this guy is going to do that to me because I'll air him out.
Really?
And it didn't work out that way, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't go on Google. I'm not that, that's not
No,
me.
I understand. But again,
I didn't expect
that's the best thing to do. Go there with somebody knowledgeable, somebody who's been in this industry or somebody that's modified cars. Go to his shop, look around, see what he's built. Does he go racing? That's a big thing. Like
that's true, yeah.
So let's talk about that for a second. Ooh. Let's just talk about that for a fucking second, okay? Oh, I got so-and-so Motorsports. I'm so-and-so Performance. You know, I'm this, I'm that. You ain't never been to a fucking racetrack. Ever. Ever. I'm at the road racing tracks. We sponsor a 370Z Nismo car. We're at the road racing tracks. We're the only Nissan. We go drag racing. We're the only Nissan. You know, me and Kyle. Mm-hmm. You know, we go to autocross. I went to autocross. Steve, was there even the last autocross? Was there even a Nissan there? Yeah, it was a Nissan Versa there. You know what I mean? So, you know, if you're in the motorsports place, right? If you're in a space, oh, what a wonderful space. If you're in business, in the motorsports business, and you're not going to any motorsports, yeah, you shouldn't be going to that guy. Because how does he know anything?
True.
The whole point of when Steve goes racing or I go racing, it's to show you what we're capable of.
Okay.
This is our work. This is what we do. Get off your ass. Get off your phone. Okay? Show up. Present yourself. Shake the guy's hand. Look at his hand. You shake my hand, you're shaking a man's hand. You know I'm turning wrenches. You know I'm building shit. Okay? I shake your hand. It feels like a glove. You ain't the guy. You know, if you got a bunch of guys that are screaming or background or, you know, the shop's not in order, like, yeah, my shop's all busted up because I got robbed for doing the floor. But it's clean. My shop's clean. You go to my bathroom, it's clean. You go to everywhere is clean. It may not be clean like when you get a shop built out in Florida or again, Texas. Or,
no, there's some shops in Florida that are, you know.
This is a clean operation. The guys, you know, are all clean. They're well kept. You know, you look in their work area. You know, you have to look around. Just like I said to you, hey, you want to go for a tour of my shop? And you said, yeah, but I see another video. Yeah, but let me take you anyway. Right? Yeah, you got to be willing to take a customer a tour for your shop. If a guy's not willing to take a tour for a shop, he's got 30 cars out there, just wants to sell you something right then and there, probably a good idea is not to go to that shop.
That's true.
You know?
This is facts. This is facts. We spoke about the VQ, but the VR is pretty popular in New York and so on. So
big Infinity clientele here in New York. Huge. Huge. Right. You know, BR30 is a great motor. Mm-hmm. See, this is where people get twisted because I said, oh, I wouldn't do so-and-so with a VR30.
Yeah.
But the VR30 power plant, the whole power plant, everything, just the way it is a great fundamental foundation motor for every single car out there.
Okay.
Except the Z. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I want to make that absolutely clear. It's a great engine. It's a great power plant. There are some things that are going wrong with them as they put some mileage on them. Mm-hmm. Very fixable. They respond well. They're good motors. They're solid motors. The stuff that we're seeing come through are all easy fix problems, not like the harder problems that some motors will inherently have.
Yeah.
You know, spinning bearings, lifting heads, breaking shit. It's good for that. You know, it's got some oil coking issues where they clog up a little bit.
Okay.
But again, you know, simple repair and fix for that. Once you service the motor, you know, then that problem goes away. So again, great motor, great foundation, great transmissions in those motors too. The trannies are pretty good. We're actually putting those trannies in the VQ37. So we're taking the Q60 trannies and putting them in the VQ37 to make them a 7-speed. Right. So
what transmission is in there?
I think that's a Borg in there, right?
No, it's a JR.
Jacko. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but great car, great platform. There's, put turbos on them.
Are they DI?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you guys do port injection?
Sure, of course.
You guys convert to port injection, or you guys run both?
No, on those, it's just a tuning. We have the tuning software. We don't have to convert anything. But
you don't run. So it's only direct injection, or it's both on those?
No, it's both.
On
it's only one. Yeah, VR30. It's just direct injection.
Do you guys do port injection? Because I know on the B58, that's a common thing. We can usually go to port injection and make more power.
Yeah. So we haven't had a client that needed that at this moment.
Okay.
Am I worried about port injection? No. That's a nice fancy way of saying something that we used to call an additional injector controller.
Okay.
Okay, an AIC.
Right.
Or a Rebec simulator, which Grady made a Rebec simulator, HCAS made an AIC, and believe it or not, one of the best additional injector controllers out there is from a company that's probably you've never heard of and is probably, I don't know how many years old, a company called Split Second, and they make a really good additional injector controller. I think they're still around. Right? They're still around. Yeah. So those guys are good guys over there. And basically all you're trying to do is, gain a pulse width on an injector. And some of the software is so powerful now. We were talking about Haltech and Motec earlier. You may even be able to wire something like that and trigger it some way to actually operate almost like off a standalone,
Yeah.
Have a standalone separate for the direct injection, for the port injection, not the direct injection, which you will tune through the regular ECM.
So,
but we were making
I was gonna say, how much power are you making on DI?
I think Christine made what 540, right? We were making 540 horsepower on a direct injection. We had the AMS upgraded pump.
Mm-hmm.
That car was all AMS actually. It had its intercoolers. Oh no, not the intercooler. The aftercooler on it. It had every part that AMS made for it at the time that we put it together, and we used a set of Stage 1 turbos, which I wasn't really happy with. I'm not going to disclose the company. They worked. They just didn't work all that great.
Says stage 1 turbos?
Yeah, it's Stage 1 turbo, and that made
what turbos are those? Like what stage?
0. It was stock turbos on the VR30.
All right. So is there a stage 2, 3?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So what is the difference in stages? Because
I would just imagine horsepower. What those turbos can produce as far as horsepower.
All the same turbo, just bigger turbos between the stages?
Yeah, bigger compressor wheels, bigger turbine wheels. They all fit in the same manifold setup.
Oh, and this is a kit from a company that makes
you can buy them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give this company a shout out. It was Pure Turbos, but the turbo I had, it was really early on. Early stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think it was like, I think if you bought something today from them, it would be different. But I got them early on, and they did something. They made more horsepower, but I was expecting more. That's all. They never broke. They never went bad. I just was expecting more horsepower. But again, ladies and gentlemen, it was like when they first made the first turbos for that particular platform.
Okay.
So don't. I'm positive that they've gone above and beyond at this point.
Okay, so you mentioned that the VR30 is pretty similar to the VR38. So is the VR30 like a baby GTR, basically? Like how similar are they? Can you interchange the parts?
No.
Okay.
No.
Is there any platform that you can interchange parts with? Maybe put like from a Skyliner turbos or something like that?
I believe that you could bolt on GTR manifolds onto an HR motor.
And onto an HR motor.
Yeah. And I'm about.
Wait, so you said the manifolds?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the GTR comes with the manifold and the turbo all in one. They're all connected in one piece. So I believe that will bolt right on. In fact, we're coming really close to proving that. We kind of proved it earlier in the video, but I kind of want to see it myself. I don't know. We didn't dive deep enough into that car to figure out exactly how that went. It was an adapter plate, right? Okay, see, that's what I wasn't 100% sure. So either we're going to make an adapter plate to make that work.
Okay.
Or, we'll figure out another way around it. But I believe that will work.
And
that's pretty cool.
What would be the benefits to doing that?
Cheap.
It's cheaper.
Yeah.
For the power that you're going to make.
Just cheap. You can buy probably a set of used manifolds with turbos from a GTR for a couple of grand. And just make the intercooler piping and the down piping, and you got a turbo.
What chassis?
Any of the 37 chassis.
Okay. Interesting.
Any 37 and any HR. I think it'll fit. I would think so.
Okay. Have you ever had an experience with any of the VK56 stuff? Because that's on the up. That's on the.
So it's so funny you say that. So prior to me deciding to go with the VR38, I bought a VK56 motor.
Okay.
It is now. I have another shop where I keep.
Damn, you asked me earlier about this, and I didn't think about the VK56. Power-wise, I didn't think about that platform and how. Yeah, I could have said that. That might have been a close. That could have been a close one. Not gonna lie, and for the price, you can pick those up for cheap. As opposed to a VR38, sleeves, pistons, rods, and 2,000 horsepower. You're there.
I don't disagree with that. It's a big motor.
Yeah, it is a V8 though.
It is a big motor. I really like what that gentleman is doing.
John Rogers.
Yeah, John Rogers. Yeah. Thank you for telling me his name. I didn't want to not mention his name. Mm-hmm. I really like what John's doing. I've never spoken to him or anything like that. I am definitely a fan of what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Again, it's another person that, if I was ever in a position to from a Nissan position to help a guy like that out, that's the kind of guy I want to help out. Yeah. Because everybody knows him and he's done some really incredible stuff. But we were looking at that motor 10 years ago, and that was something.
It's not new. People have been doing swaps with those for years.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody's brought it to John's level.
Yep.
And, again, just like myself bringing the 2JZ and then later on the VQ platform to another level, it always takes that one individual like John to do that with that and really show what it can be done. And so, again, I recognize that, what he's doing. And, it's in a 6-speed. So, it's, he's got a pretty consistent 6-second, he's, again, Nissan to the front. And, he's going to be a killer. He's going to be a killer coming up this year. He's not going to play.
He's running 6s
already,
yeah,
but he's running 6s pretty quickly. Yeah. And again, the Supras still struggle to run 6s. They run them.
Yeah.
Granis is out there. There's a couple other guys out there.
Granis is 650s, I think.
Yeah, right? But not like this guy with the V8. Gets right up there, lays it down, comes back around, lays it down again. The 2J is not going to be able to keep up with that. And you would have the same, I believe, very similar outcome if you use the VR38 as well. I don't think you would have much of a different outcome. Maybe a little bit different, but not much.
Right. Well, you have two extra cylinders, right?
Yeah, it's not that. It's the same reason why I believe that the GTR R35 motor will eventually dethrone the 2JZ motor, and it's very simple. It's not horsepower. It's not the potential of horsepower. It's the potential of torque. So the V6 makes so much more torque. So even if we go the same mile per hour in that course of the 1,320 feet, I'm going to accelerate that much faster than you.
I never really understood the difference. And for me, is torque more of a feeling, or does it actually apply down?
That's what makes you feel like this.
Right. But how does that really translate to ET times and
because the more torque you can put down, for instance, it's all torque the first eighth of a mile.
The first eighth is all torque?
All torque.
Okay.
And then it's all horsepower from there.
After back half.
Yep. Mile per hour represents horsepower. So when you see a big mile per hour, which is what I always like seeing because that represents how much horsepower I'm making. So when I out horsepower you, that means I'm making more horsepower than you, which means I'm a better engine builder than you.
Okay. So when you have
but that's what it means. I mean, I'm not being an asshole. That's what it means.
No, of course not. You're not being an asshole. But when you have more torque, is it harder to manage traction?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, it's the control of that torque. But we're talking about, again, the 2JZ, when it comes to torque, just like the rotor. So, look, for instance, 2JZ doesn't produce a lot of torque either, right? And rotaries produce even less torque, right?
Yeah.
So rotaries just went 5s. I mean, just 4 weeks ago was the first rotary in the 5s. Why? Because they don't have enough torque to drive them out of the hole and get them out there. They had pretty good horsepower. I've seen 230. I've seen rotaries go 230, 6.1, 6.2, 230. They had the mile per hour. They had the horsepower. They didn't have the torque. So, and then, that translates to the 2JZ too. It's got a lot of horsepower, but it doesn't have, the torque is way lower. But on the VR38, you make a humongous, much more amount of torque, which I think is really the reason that the cost efficiency, the amount of time that you can run the VR35 as opposed to the 2JZ, I think all of those things will come into play and, and really make it competitive. I mean, it's going to be do you understand, like, when we come out with this car, the battle we're going to have? We're going to have no friends. We're not going to have any rotary friends, obviously. We're not going to have any RB friends, even though we're cousins, okay? We're definitely not going to have any 2JZ friends. And for damn sure, we're not going to have any domestic friends. You know what I mean? So this is a car that this is a platform that nobody's raced yet, and that's why I want to race it, because I believe, just as I believed, that the 2JZ was going to be king, that eventually V6 Motors will be the king, that now this is the next transition, and that will be the king.
Okay, which is why when I said on the shop tour that RB is going to be king in the next 5 years, you laughed. I understand now. Makes sense. Well, we'll see. I hope that,
We'll see.
What you're saying.
I mean, there's a lot that's got to, go into it, I mean.
And the VK is also another platform that,
It's a great platform. It's a great platform. Yeah. It's, again, Nissan makes some good stuff.
So where do you see the future is for drag racing right now? I've been to events the past.
What events have you gone to?
So I've been to the World Cup, which is my favorite event.
How crazy is World Cup?
It's my favorite event that I've been to. I haven't been to Pan Am. I haven't been to any of like the pro mod events yet, like Snowbirds and all that stuff.
Okay.
But I think that World Cup is probably racing wise, to me, that's the best event to go to. Person that I've experienced. TX2K is great too. Different cars there, of course. FL2K is also
that's what I was going to say. Isn't there another one in FL2K?
Yeah, FL2K is great. It's just the weather is the downside to that event. But as far as the cars,
we're always fighting the weather.
Yeah, but as far as the cars, I think World Cup is probably the most exciting event if you want to see like the fastest cars going on the track.
Last year was off the hook.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
and the year before that I went, and that was off the hook. And I
think it was 2 years. I mean, I'm thinking 2 years ago.
Like,
do you think that the sport is dying? Drag racing?
Hell no. Not even close.
Okay.
Not even close. I think what's happening is that people are moving out of urban areas, populated areas, and moving on. Because as motorsports guys, we just, like you said, the police, this, that, and the other thing. Yeah. But, slowing down. No, they're record attending at this point.
At the bigger events, you mean?
Yeah, and I think that, as far as spectator attendance,
that's what I'm more so probably looking at.
So when we talk about spectator attendance, you that is no longer a metric to be used.
Okay. So what are you looking at?
I'm looking at the complete event coverage. Like most of these event coverages are on Flow Racing.
True.
Or some other type of medium. So yeah, you're going to lose some spectator count because I can watch it from my big screen TV at home. So
how is that like were they always implementing that where you could watch it on YouTube, or is this new?
Yeah, you can watch Flow Racing on a lot of events.
I'm saying for how many years this has always been a thing?
No, I would say no, because the technology wasn't there. So I would say maybe the last, and I could be wrong about this, but I would say the last 5 years. I think
5 years.
Right. I think, first of all, I think import racing has been a steady as a rock compared to any other domestic racing. Domestic racing, just by the numbers, the people are there was a big transition of a lot of older guys that got out.
Yeah.
And it was just recently that we see a lot of younger guys getting in.
Yeah.
And we can almost thank the LS engine platform for that, because it allowed every everybody to
Everybody
LS
did, yeah.
the world,
Yeah.
put an eBay turbo and an eBay manifold and you were out racing. And, but as far as the events go, and as far as import racing goes, you have to think about import racing for a second in like a different way. So you're talking about FL2K, you're talking about, what's the other one?
TX2K World Cup.
TX2K. You're talking about World Cup,
Yeah.
Pan Americans, a couple of other events that are out there. And when you talk about those events, you have to take it under the perspective, it's probably going to get me in a little trouble, that most of those promoters are fighting with each other and don't like each other. You have to understand, we don't have a series. We have no organization. So if you were talking to me about import racing, we have no organization. We have no series. We don't even have a rule book that complies from one race to another. It burns me so bad that these promoters can't figure out a series. Let's just take, for instance, just take this one caveat. So let's just talk about the guys we know. We just said. So you go FL2K, Y2K, or Texas 2K. You have Pan American. You have World Cup. Let's say you throw in Fall Nationals and maybe and maybe Spring Nationals. So let's say, right? So that would look like a pretty good series. You would have 6 events, 7 events, and you would go, to those racers, and you would actually have a series. Do you know what the importance of a series is? The importance of a series is that as a racer, you have something to sell to a sponsor. Hey, I'm going to be part of this so-and-so racing series. I am going to be going for a championship in this class. We don't have that because we have a bunch of numbskulls that want to effing fight with each other and won't get along. Yet there is an answer for that. The answers for that is, of course, that nobody, of course, again, my event doesn't dilute the environment. Your event dilutes the environment. It's always the other person's event that harms the environment. No, to be honest with you, all you guys are hurting the environment. You're helping and hurting. Greatest event ever, Pan American. Greatest event ever, World Cup. Greatest event ever, FL2K.
Yeah.
Greatest event ever, TKX. Okay, so why don't we have these events, right? Why don't we have these events cloistered into a series, right? Each promoter, they keep their gate money, but each promoter or track owner puts in a fund, puts in money into a general fund to pay all the races that go to their series. But you keep all of your gate.
Okay.
You don't have events on top of each other. You start out in March. Where do you start out in March? In Florida. And then you go to Texas. Okay? And then you come up to the East Coast. Maybe go to Maryland for one race. Maybe come up to PA to do one race. Then you do Pan Americans. Then you go back down to Maryland. You do whatchamacallit. And at the end of the year, you got a series.
Yeah.
You go to FL2K at the end of the year. Now you got a 7-event series that racers can go out and petition sponsors, say, hey, we're going to be on Flow Racing. We're going to have this much coverage. This is how much on-site people we're going to have. But they can't, it's so effed up that these guys can't even get together and put a series together. I'm actually thinking of calling the IHRA or even the NHRA and say, hey, listen, you want to put a series back together to give you a little benefit over the IHRA? And I'll call the IHRA and say, hey, listen, the NHRA threw us out. You were going to welcome us? Sure, come on in.
Yeah.
And then all these other tracks, what are they going to do then? If somebody comes up with a series and it's outside these tracks that are holding these events right now, are gonna, maybe not some of the big ones, but some of them are going to be effed. So, and it breaks my heart because I watch TV. I'm still old. I'm not, just doing the pad thing all day long. So, on Sunday, sometimes I'm going through ESPN. I've watched the Snapper Lawnmower Racing Series. So you're telling me that people are racing lawnmowers on fucking ESPN, but I can't get an import series going 260 miles an hour with 50,000 people being there. It's like, are you serious? Are you effing serious?
Lawnmowers is crazy.
But they are doing it.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
Like, that's how bad my industry is that lawnmowers have a series on ESPN, and we can't organize ourselves. These promoters get together, get in a room, and work it all out, which benefits everybody. Everybody keeps their event. Everybody keeps their event. Everybody keeps their gate money.
Yeah.
You're just going to put in money as a general fund for the races to go around. And that series will bring more and more spectators to your event. Because now we get to FL2K. That would be technically the last race of the year.
Yeah.
That's where all the championships happen.
Well, World Cup would be after.
No, World Cup, and then it's FL2K, isn't it?
No, FL2K is in October, and then it's.
Oh,
World
okay.
Cup
So
after.
yeah, okay.
It's
So
like,
then
it's like the month. They're like a month apart.
Okay, so then what better way to end the year than at World Cup?
Yeah, that's how it ends. It's like that's
right. So what better way to end it, right? At World Cup, right? So but you can't get these guys in a room, and you can't get them to understand why they're hurting the racer. If you want to know why the race is going away, it's because the racer doesn't have any money.
This is true.
He can't even go to his local hardware store and say, listen, I'm going to be on TV, just a promotion alone. Give me whatever, $5,000 or something. Nothing. Because there's no series. You got nothing to sell. Hey, how you doing? I'm Vinny. I got nothing to sell. I want you to give me money. How's that working?
Yes.
Hey, hi, I'm Vinny. I got nothing to sell. I got a fast car. Give me money. How does that work? So what you had to become is your own media company. That's how you... So now what has transitioned is because we've been out on our own.
Yeah.
And we're sitting out here in the dustbin of history of, now we just go to one, which are great events. 50,000 people, 30,000 at Pan American over, per day. When we talk about 50,000 people showing up, we're not talking about over 3 days or 4 days. We're talking about per day. You know what I mean? Saturday's 50,000 or 40,000 at World Cup. Sunday's 45,000. Sold out.
Yeah, sold out.
Sold out. Not a ticket to be found. So, not trying to take away anything from those guys.
Yeah.
Not trying to take away anything from Pan American or FL2K or TKX. But you guys got to get in a room and put a series together. Keep all your gate money. Keep all of that. Put it in a general fund to run a series so people know that, just like people know World Cup is on so-and-so, people know the Spring Nationals will be on so-and-so. The Fall Nationals will be on so-and-so. Why TKX will be so-and-so. FL2K will be so-and-so. Then there's a championship. You can run for that. You're going to be on TV. You're going to have Flow Racing. I mean, not being able to sell an ESPN package when it's so easy that even a effing lawnmower company can do it, then, I've been hearing about import racing dying since the day I showed up at a track. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's still the #1 spectator sport at any track. There's no track really on the East Coast that can survive without import racers. Okay? If it's not for the import races, they can't survive on domestic alone. There's not enough car count for you to survive on domestic alone. So don't bullshit me about how the import racing is going away. No, import racing saved drag racing. Okay? Saved drag racing. Okay? Saved drag racing and saved a whole bunch of other businesses along with it, like the machine shops that were losing all their business to crate motors. Oh, now you can't buy a crate motor, which we're going to work on. Okay? And here's another unbelievable thing. Okay? Unbelievable. Like, when I bring this to your attention, you're going to be like, wow, you're right. So at the birth of drag racing, and even drag racing today, even at the birth of drag racing, since the beginning of drag racing to today, in the domestic market, Ford, Chevy, Mopar, Dodge, all involved. Right?
Yep.
All involved. All involved. They sponsor cars, sponsor events, sponsor teams. Right? Okay. What Japanese manufacturer ever has sponsored a fucking car in America? What Japanese manufacturer ever sponsored an event? Okay? None. Not one. Maybe Mazda at the World Cup Finals with NHRA back in the day. They gave them $50 or something. Okay? We've done this entirely without any factory support. We have carried our racing through the last 30 years entirely without any zero. We're not talking about some, not talking we gave you something, zero manufacturer support. They don't sponsor a car. They don't sponsor an event. And you know what? The insanity here is that we perpetuated the entire market of resale of these cars and products based on what we did in import racing. Because we showed you what we could be done with your Honda. We showed you what you could be done with your Toyota. We showed you what you could be done with your Mazda. So people went out and bought those cars to modify. What do you think they're driving here? Unmodified cars, unmodified BMWs, unmodified Toyota Supras, unmodified 400Zs? No, every one of them modified. And where they learn to modify them? From the track, from people going to the track. And so a large part of their business was given to them without any cost to them of their involvement in import racing. So we've stood on our own. So when you say, well, import racing is dying, how is that? It can only die when we say it's going to die because we pay the bills. You can go into the domestic NHRA event or IHRA event. You walk through the pits, you see almost every single car's got some sort of sponsor. There are zero major sponsors on any level. And I even say some to the aftermarket companies. Okay, I'd look at some of the biggest aftermarket companies. Okay, no bullshit. Not trying to throw shade. Not trying to cause any trouble. But where's the turn 14 fucking car? Where's the turn 14 car? You got all of these shops buying all of these parts off you, and we can't sponsor a drag car. We can't sponsor a drag event or an import event or any kind of event. Nothing. Just take my money, buy the parts, give me that, And they're a great company. They're a great company again, but they're not my master. So I will criticize, and I love the company. Again, two things can be true at the same time. Okay, so you get a Turn 14 or a Motor State or a Summit, and Summit actually sponsored back in the day the import series. Won't do it now, So we've done this entirely on our own.
Okay, so drag racing is not dying.
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah, well, that's because you and my idiot friend over there is a bunch of drifter. Oh, let's go drifting. Let's go to a judge sport.
I'm asking the question. I didn't say it was. I'm just asking if you feel it is based off of what I've witnessed. That's all. But again, there's plenty of other drag racing that happens in different states that I don't go to. Like 1320 covers a lot of events that most people don't go to. That's fully packed out.
The other thing that would really be super cool, again, and again, World Cup does do it. Again, everybody's afraid of diluting their series, but even if you took that package of rules and applied those rules so domestics can race, so then there'd be like no guarantee of the race ever not being populated, right? But I'm sure Jason's a great guy. I speak to him. He's great. I mean, he's a great guy. I mean, I text him. He answers my text, and or I email him. He emails me back. He's a great guy. He's done a phenomenal job. I know his dad. I raced before Jason had World Cup. I actually raced there at an import race for his dad many years ago. Great operators, but he's afraid or concerned. I don't know if afraid's not probably the right word, but he's concerned that what he's got works so well right here. Why should I try to give it up somewhere else or blueprint it to another event? And to a certain degree, he's true. It is true. But I think that sometimes you have to think about things being bigger than yourself. And I think import racing could be bigger than what we even think of. And that shows us every year at World Cup. It shows us every time we go to FL2K. It shows us even if they got, you go to domestic races, right? Right? Like you've not been to a domestic race, right?
Me?
Yeah.
At Bradenton one time.
Okay. And how many people were in the stands?
I mean, when I went, it wasn't many.
No. So, see, the thing is that true. The domestics got the competitors. They have more competitors than we have. People have been modifying domestic cars a lot longer, so they naturally have, a higher rate of participation. But you know what they don't have? They don't have one thing that we have. They don't have the rabid fans that we have. Okay? That's why when even you show up at a fall national or spring national or, not even a major race, there's still 10, 15,000 people that showed up there. There's still 9,000 people that showed up there.
Yeah.
Okay? You go to the domestic race, you find their families eating lunch in the stands. That's who's in the stands. There's no real spectators. These are real fans. These are hardcores. You go to Pan American, and they take over the upper levels, and they start camping out on the stands. It's crazy.
Yeah, I gotta go this year.
I mean, I can't describe it until you go.
Yeah.
I can tell you, you're not going to believe it. But the moment you go, you're going to know, like, wow, I've never, like, some of these experiences, like, you're never going to, you can't duplicate the Pan American anywhere. It's like, that is a race. And, it's at Maple Grove now, which I'm really happy about. But when it was at ACO, it was like, it was just, and it's still that way.
Yeah.
There's still, like you say, sometimes there's a little delay in people moving over from, I think you said Houston to whatever.
To Dallas, yeah.
From Dallas to Houston or Houston to Dallas. So, yeah, sometimes there's going to probably be a little delay of people coming over there. But, and that's sort of like the transition they're doing from ACO to Maple Grove. But the last two events were, last 2 years that I went anyway, very good crowds. I mean, we're talking about 15,000+ easily, okay, in some track. And it's not even like, outside of PA, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So what is the future for Vinny Ten Racing looking like as of right now? Obviously, you have this car.
So this car, I raced this car, one, because I love this car. It's just a good car, and I've had it for so long, and I love racing it. It's a very easy car to drive, and I race it to stay sharp because I knew eventually either I'm going to bring out the Supra or I'm going to bring out the Nissan, and the Nissan is almost ready. So the Pro car is going to be ready for testing less than 60 days at this point.
Okay.
But the reason why I started racing this car a few years back was I'm a little older than you. I'm a little older than everybody else, and I wanted to make sure, racing is not just about getting in the car. That's the day at the track, and driving is the easiest. That's the most peaceful part of my whole day is when I'm strapped in. Everything after that is a ton of work. There's a ton of work before, weeks, months before.
Yeah.
There's a ton of work to get it ready, to get all the food ready, to load everything. There's a ton of work at the track, and it's usually hot at the track.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pressure at the track. And I had to make sure that, I could still, I can drive, but can I do all the other stuff?
Right.
Because I'm not going to have a money team. My guys are all volunteer. I don't make them go. If they show up, I got more help. If they don't show up, I have less help. That's just the way it is. But me and my wife, Christine, we go together and we unload the thing. If it's just us, it's just us. And we're going to go out there and race just us. And we're going to be out there for, whatever, a minimum 3 days on the road.
Yeah.
And you got to make sure that you can still do that. Don't fuck with me, kiddies. But you got to be able to still do that. And that's one of the things. And also, you got to be used to doing it. So I didn't want to just, oh, yeah, here I am. I'm Vinny Ten. I'm just going to drop into a 5-second car and just be the man. No.
Yeah.
No, I want to stay sharp. I want to stay fresh. I want to stay around the track. I want to, keep learning things from other people.
Yeah.
And keep seeing what things, look like and watch those pro cars go down and, and just try to learn as much as possible while I'm there, but also to compete as best I can to get this thing go as fast as I, could get it to go.
Does it have the record for this car?
Oh, yeah. This is the fastest independent rear wheel drive. We can go down to, it's the fastest independent rear-wheel drive blue car, Nissan. People come up with records. This, as far as rear-wheel drive, independent suspension car, this is the fastest 350Z as I know in the world. And that's everything I have ever driven. Like everything I've ever driven or raced, it becomes number one. I can't be number two. Can't. I don't want to be number two, and I'm not shooting for number two. When we bring out the pro car, it will be, the fastest. There's no rules for pro cars, so it will be the fastest. Nissan is the first goal.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be the first goal, and the second goal is to be then the fastest.
Fastest Nissan.
Yeah.
What is the fastest Nissan?
I guess your boy,
Who?
Mac, right?
He's the fastest Nissan.
Yeah, I think so. What did he run?
I think it was 570s, maybe.
Yeah, 570s. So he's vulnerable at 570s. You run 570s, you're vulnerable in this class now.
Fastest Nissan, but the Nissan would just be the engine platform, right? It's considered.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
what it's powered by. So that's just hands down. We want to make this platform, this engine power plant, the VR30. I want to kill the RB. I'm going to kill the 2JZ, and then I'm going to just keep going with the VR38.
Are we ever going to see a Supra build in the future?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the car's chassis is all done.
Okay.
So, and we were going to talk about this, but I said I didn't want to until we got here.
Okay.
So I love that car. Like that car still smells like, when I get in that car, it's got certain smells to it.
Yeah.
It's got a certain feel to it. It's still structurally a Supra. Mm-hmm. It's not stretched or anything like that.
Okay.
It's still, all the bars are within the confines of
Right.
the car. And it was a real car. It was a real Supra at one point. I got that car because I was building the car. I was building a car with an 85 Supra, and I was putting a 2JZ in that.
Mm-hmm.
I figured a light car, and we're gonna go racing. And I get a call from a guy named Angie, and he owns actually a salvage yard out here. But at the time, he owned this place called or ran a place called Metro Auto Salvage. And he's like, "Hey, we just got a Supra in. I don't know what it is, but it's stripped as hell." I'm like, "I'll come right down." So I go down there, and the car is completely stripped. The only thing in the car is the block in the head. The turbos were off, the intake manifolds. Maybe the intake was on, but the exhaust manifold was off. No doors, no wheels, no suspension, no nothing. And so I go, "How much you want for that?" And he goes, "Oh, I got to get $4,000, but I gotta cut the car in half and sell it to you because it's a junkyard. They can't sell a whole car."
Okay.
So I said, "Well, you ain't cut the car, fucking half." If I buy this thing for $4,000, that $4,000 in whatever it was, 95, it's a good amount of money. But I had a friend of mine named Danny Lou. He's actually been by here a couple of times. Old Chinatown friend. Met him when I had the shop in Manhattan. Great guy. Along with Paul Chan and a couple other guys over there. Really, really cool guys over there. And he had a non-turbo. So I called him up and I'm like, "Hey, I'll sell you a turbo motor for $4,000. He's like, "Yeah?" And he's like, "Yeah, but I don't have any money." I said, $4,000, I'll put it in for you. He says, "Okay." I said, "But you got to bring me the money tomorrow." So he brings me the money. I go out, I buy that car.
Mm-hmm.
I take the motor out of that car. Thank God it was good. I put it in Danny's motor.
Yeah.
It's Danny's car. It's still in his car right now. He still has the original car with that motor that I put in there from that car.
Oh, wow.
Then I convinced them not to chop the car in half because they were a salvage yard. They can't sell me a whole car.
Yeah.
They were going to sell me, or a junkyard. It wasn't even a salvage yard. They have to sell me a back half car and a front half car. And of course, they gave me 2 receipts, but they never cut the car in half. So I dragged that car out and I dragged it into a corner. So that car was a junkyard car. You understand what I'm saying to you? It's a junkyard car. Because that's what I do. I fucking take junk or broken shit or platforms that nobody wants, and I will make you a fucking champion. Okay? We don't build fast cars. We build winners. We make winners. That's what we do. We make winners. And we do it because that's what we love to do. Not because you're paying me to do it, but because I want to see you win. I want to see you do good. And so if I could take a car that came out of a junkyard and make it the most famous car ever to exist in drag racing history and a champion, can you imagine what I'm going to do with a real program?
I ain't got nothing to say about that.
Yeah.
I ain't got nothing to say about that.
So that's who I am. Like, the only sad thing about the Supra, and maybe more people now, is like you, like a whole effing generation don't know what started it all. It wasn't Titan. I love you, Nero. It wasn't you. It wasn't Titan. It wasn't Canoe. It wasn't anybody else. It was that car. That's what started. That's what perpetuated import racing, and that's what's perpetuated the entire 2JZ movement.
One of the popular things with these platforms and VRs, maybe VQs as well, is like flames and burble tunes and all this other stuff, right? That was a very, very popular thing, or probably still is with these cars, right?
It's horrible. You're an idiot.
So what are the downsides to having a flame map or some type of flame tune?
Where's the flame come out of?
The exhaust.
Comes out of the exhaust. Where'd the flame start?
I guess in the cylinders, right?
Yeah, it did. It sure did. It bounced off your spark plug, went past your exhaust valve, bending it up, making it nice and hot. Get past your turbine wheel, bang the. What about the concussional effect? Pretty loud, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on when your piston is in. It's like that's what's going on between your piston relationship and your cylinder head relationship. Now you're hearing that concussional effect 15 feet later at the back of the car. What do you think is happening inside that cylinder? Why do you think if you watch the video that almost got 1 million views, I mean, not as many as yours, of course. But you know, you'll get a pretty good explanation of it, and it's incredibly bad for the car. Now there are some softwares out there, you know, that can do it through cam phasing, which is a little gentler on the car. But ultimately, it's really bad for the car. And as I said in the video, it beats up your valve seats, it beats up your valves, it beats up your rings, it beats up the piston, beats up the head gasket, beats up the turbos and turbine wheels, cracks the cats in your car if you have any. And as I said in my video, I encourage you to keep doing it because it's really good for business.
Okay. How long? I'm sure you're going to see it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how long you're doing this for. Like, is it like because people believe that if you're not doing it too much, that you won't hurt the engine.
Sure, but you're still doing it too often.
That's true.
It's like I'm only having sex with you for 1 second. Does that really count as sex?
You know, the analogies are crazy. So is this something that when people come here, you don't put this on their car? You don't offer this as a service at all?
I absolutely do.
Oh, okay.
So for about 5 years, I refused to do it. I lost a tremendous amount of business having morals and ethics. I sit here, I tell you that, I explain to you what it was going to do, why is it going to do it, how is it going to do it, what the ramifications are when you do it. And they still do it. Or they wouldn't tune the car with me because I didn't want to do it. And I didn't do it for like 5 years. And I said, you know what? I'm an idiot. So you know what? Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the burble tunes, whatever, flame tunes, whatever you want to call it. You're going to sign a release, and you're going to pay me an extra $150 for doing it. So again, you want it? I'll do it. You know? Do I think it's bad for your engine? I think it's really bad for your engine. And guess what happens when you buy a Vinny 10 racing engine and I tune your car? You ain't getting no burble tune on my motor. You ain't going to beat up my motor. I worked too hard to put your motor together. You only pay me once, and then when it come back, oh, you know, my car's got like a little miss. Yeah, because the valves can't seal anymore because they're waffled from the heat. You know, that generates all of that heat.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't put your hand in the back of the tailpipe, right? So what do you think your valve is experiencing?
True. So how is that compared to like two-step or any lag?
So they're all the same.
So, but they're used differently in certain.
Correct.
Rights.
So, you know, where it became popular, where burble tunes really became popular, a couple of places they became popular. Obviously, they became popular because people with turbo cars needed to do that when they launched the car.
Yeah.
Build the boost.
To build the boost, right.
Take off, right? Big flames, everybody loved that. It also came from rally racing, where they used to go around the turns, you know, as they come around the turns. Listen, it's exciting, it's fun. I don't disagree. I had loud cars in my past.
Yeah.
But again, because I never really had, financial support. If I blew something up, I couldn't put that on my mother's credit card Not because my mother didn't love me, because she didn't have a credit card, because we weren't financially able to have a credit card. So that wasn't going to happen. She wasn't going to come here and throw down 3 cards and pay for my motor like I see a lot of these kids do, which I would never let my mother do that anyway. But, these kids do, where they 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. Okay, 15 grand, get your motor. And we see it all the time. Don't we, Janine? Where is she? There she is. And she's the one that takes the money. So I don't have to feel bad that I warned you and told you. We had a kid in here. He just constantly blew up his shit because he was just constantly on them. Because he was cool. It made him a superstar. I mean, back in my day, when I was your age, but, we were trying to get away from the cops, not attract them to us. Okay?
That's facts.
Okay? We weren't trying to say, oh, look at me, I'm an idiot. Come get me a ticket. Oh, follow me to the street races. You made a comment that, like, Texas is really cracking down.
Yeah, they are.
Well, you guys probably would have got away with it for so much longer if you didn't. Oh, look at me. Look at me. Pop, 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 pop. Look at me street racing in El Paso. You don't think they're watching the media?
That's 100% what it is, yeah. Yeah.
You guys gave up yourself. They didn't even have to come down for you. They leave you alone. They put the little cameras up on the pole when you're out sleeping. And then when they come down, and you just watch you. They don't even have to come down. They just put the cameras on the pole, take everybody's plate number, figure out where you live, follow you home, give you a bunch of tickets, impound your car. Like, it's supposed to be secret. It's supposed to be a society.
Yep.
We're supposed to be mobsters. This is like being in a mob. You got to keep it quiet. You don't tell, hey, how you doing? I'm in the mob. Nice. No. And this shit's like the mob. It's almost like ass backwards. So for me, if you want to put the purple tuning on, cost you an extra $150, sign a waiver, have a great day.
That's how much it costs to do it if you would just come in and...
No, it's $150 on top of the tune.
Oh, okay. So what did the tune go for, roughly?
Steve? $950. Somewhere between, depends. It starts at $950. You can go as high as $1,500, depending, how many maps you want. Is it a turbo car? Is it a big turbo car? How much time you got to spend on it. Mm-hmm. If we built the car, it's usually less because nothing's going to start to go wrong on the dyno.
Yeah.
The amount of cars that come in here and say they're going to be tuned and actually get on the dyno and get tuned is probably 2 out of every 10. I want a tune. Okay, when's the last time you changed your oil? Oh, and when's the last time you changed the spark plugs? Spark plugs? Those are 100,000 miles, aren't they?
Oh, man.
Or you bring in the car to check out the car to make sure it doesn't have any oil leaks. None's going to fall off. The wastegate pipe's not burning on, the boost line or anything like that. Guy's got no brakes in the car. He's got no brakes. Oh, I want to go fast. You got no brakes in the car. There's times when no treads on the tire. Right, Steve? No treads on the tire. The cords are coming through the tire. I'm not putting this on my dyno. So,
Oh, man. Well, it's keeping you busy, right?
It keeps me busy. And we do a good job. And what really makes this shop different, is that we are brutally honest. I don't need to sell you anything. I'm not going to sell you anything. If I ever, and I mean ever, and I fucking mean ever, have one of my guys sell something just to get more hours out of the job, I will fire you right then and there. No discussion. None. Zero. I told you never to do that. I've enforced that rule over and over again. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to upsell anybody anything that they don't need. You know why? Because these cars are so effed up that there's plenty that if you look at them thoroughly enough, you'll find everything that's wrong with them. Because most of these cars have been molested by people that just don't possess the talent to do it right.
Yeah.
So when they come in and they're modified, I don't need to sell you anything. I need to save you. I'm going to save you money. It's going to cost you money to save money, but believe me, you're saving money because half of the shit will either get you killed, get you crashed, or get your shit blown up.
Yeah.
So mostly every car that comes in here, we try to do a checkout on it. just to make sure it's safe. And if it looks ratty, it's definitely getting a check out. If we don't know you're getting checked out, And you know everybody that owns a motorsports business, you know in your heart of hearts that we operate in a very gray area.
Okay.
Yeah, because of emissions and EPA. Okay?
Okay.
Okay? And it sucks. It sucks. It effing sucks that I got to work this effing hard and still be in a gray business where the EPA can come in here or whatever other environmental agencies and shut us down. Mm-hmm. Now, I love PRI. I love SEMA. I think they do a phenomenal job with SEMA and PRI. Hands down. I'm so grateful that there is a PRI, mostly because then people like Steve and myself and Yarrick and Joey, we don't feel so alienated because we don't have any real friends. This is what we do. And we do it at such a level that, you understand? It's like whether we hate each other or like each other, we're forced to like each other because we're in this clique. And they all know. They all know. You know. Every shop owner in there knows that we operate in a gray area.
Yeah.
The manufacturer can make the product. The manufacturer can make a product. They can sell it to a distributor. Distributor to sell it to a retailer. Okay? Retailer can sell it to a shop owner. Shop owner installs it in the car. I got the fucking EPA on my door. How does that work? How does that work? So nobody's responsible here. Nobody. Except for the guy that actually takes your products 365 days a year. Every freaking product that's made, every shop owner takes your product, okay? The lowest guy takes your product and makes you look good. And for that reward, we have absolutely zero effing protection from you, from PRI or SEMA. Zero. You were supposed to get the RPM Act passed. You didn't do that. Well, now we have the biggest deregulation president ever to exist. We had him in 2016 to 2020, he was a deregulation president, and you didn't do anything about getting this thing passed. You didn't go to the EPA chief at the time and try to get some things deregulated. Well, now he's back in office, and obviously he's deregulating like crazy, right?
Yeah.
And also Lee Zeldin, right out here from Long Island, who was instrumental in getting the racetrack out here, the 8 Mile racetrack out in Calverton. Made, okay, when he was congressman. He's a dynamite guy. He's a motorsports guy. He understands what we're going through. Why okay, that PRI, SEMA executives haven't made them. I'm never going to get an appointment with Lee Zeldin. Am I? No, because I'm a nobody. I got no money, and I'm a nobody, okay? But PRI and SEMA and the powers that be and their legal team, okay, certainly can get an appointment with Lee Zeldin and really deregulate this industry to make it palatable for us not to have to worry about every friggin' part that we put in the car that we're committing some sort of fucking felony. Okay? That's what my industry's done to me. It wants to make me a criminal for the products that it makes, but it's not here to stand for me and protect me. Even though I go to your show, I sign up for your stupid membership, all of that stuff. But in the end, if God forbid Mr. EPA walks in here and I don't do anything, you will be blue in the face trying to make me take out your cat. I make power with cats. I use the Gezi cat. I'll use a good cat. Okay? I'm not taking the cats out of your car. I'm not, good shops aren't shutting off emissions codes. They're not taking out and deleting emissions devices. The good shops, the smart shops, figure out how to make horsepower with those things in there. If a GTR can make 600 horsepower from the factory with a cat in it, so can Vinny Ten. You have the power at PRI and SEMA to get an appointment with Lee Zeldin, EPA chief, and get some of this shit that we have to go through as shop owners off our backs. Because on top of every freaking thing else that we got to worry about, payroll, comp, insurance, health insurance, building insurance, now we got to worry about one day, after 20 years or 25 years, somebody can come in here and nitpick. And you You would think that it was handled in the first Trump administration. No, didn't get handled. Well, now we're into a year into the new administration. Did we hear anything from PRI or SEMA that they got an appointment with Lee Zeldin to make our industry great again? No, you haven't. So we got a big problem. We got electronic, fuel-injected, modern cars. You know what? If I got a carbureted car, no problem. I can walk up to that car, adjust the air fuel, adjust the timing.
Yeah.
Right? Why can't I do that with a fuel-injected car? I'm not allowed to. Why? Just because it's fuel-injected, the car doesn't wear out just as much as a regular carbureted car? No. So you've removed an ability for me to adjust cars for putting the parts in the car that the industry sells. And I can go to jail for it. My business could be shut down. I could be sued. Where is PRI and SEMA to protect shop owners like me with legislation through a deregulatory environment, which we have right now, to save some of these shops? We have a problem. We have a twofold problem. So if the EPA is going to shut us down because you're not going to do anything, right? Okay? And single operator, owner operator tracks are going out of business. So we can't run the products that you're selling on the street, and we can't bring them to the track because the tracks are going out of business. So where do you think you're selling these parts? Where do you think this industry is going then? Okay? So you have to solve these problems. Now, these investment bankers and these big corporations, they should be the ones buying the tracks. There's no longer a single operator, owner-operator operating a track. It's too difficult. It's too risky. It's too much.
In terms of like buying one or
yeah,
running
buying one, running one.
Yeah.
It's just way too much. We need real corporations with real corporate structure to run these tracks, like Englishtown. Like, can you imagine? You have, I'm sorry, it gets me crazy. You have a major motorsports facility. You can call it a drag racing facility, but they have autocross, they got go-karting, they had the motocross series sponsored by Kawasaki there, and then they had drag racing.
Yeah.
So you got a motorsports park literally 30 minutes outside of Manhattan. And you guys can't figure out how to make money and at the same time solve your problem? Like, investment bankers are the ones, and the big corporations are the ones that need to buy these tracks. Because if the EPA keeps going and you don't do anything about it, well, then the only place we're going to have is tracks. But unfortunately, the tracks are closing. So where do you think this is all going? 5, 6, 7 years?
It's not looking too hot.
It potentially doesn't look too hot, but thank God that we're rugged individuals, not the warmth of collectivism. That's for sure. We're rugged individuals, and we're always going to find a way to make through this. But it would behoove us and be a lot easier if we can get this industry to get this administration's ear and get some of these problems solved for us. So, again, I love PRI. I love SEMA.
Yeah.
They do a phenomenal job. Their organization, it's unbelievable. It's like Candyland. You go there. It's the greatest thing for anybody in this industry to go to those shows.
Yep.
But my God, you guys got the power. We don't. We're shop owners. We're only the victims. That's what you're making us. You're making us victims. And I tell you, I'm not a victim for anybody, for anything. Okay? I will always find my way, my way through this. But man, it just makes navigating through this industry that much harder. So you got it. You want us to be in this business? You want us to sell your parts? You want us to tune your cars? You want us to perpetuate the industry? Give me an environment to do it in.
Okay.
All right.
There you have it. Well, we're coming up on time now.
Yeah.
But I do want to say,
I just want to say one thing closing.
Go ahead.
Okay. I really have to give all the accolades and all the credit to my wife and my guys. They have been behind me and the forefront and the success of my business or our business together.
Absolutely, yeah.
I may be the front guy, that's true, and I may be the engine guy, and That's true. And, obviously I'm a personality that all may be true, but make no mistake, I don't walk around here like that. These guys are the real heroes that come in here every day and, do an outstanding job, and they work their asses off. And so Joey and Jarek and Steve, these guys are really, and Janine are really my fundamental foundation of making this go. And so I want to thank them and appreciate them. And obviously, I can't say enough about my wife. I've had other long-term relationships that didn't work out because, hi, my name is Vinny. I'm an addict, Race is anonymous. And, if you were going to ask me to stop racing or leave you, well, there's more women than race cars, that's for sure. So, so I moved on. And, I found a winner with Christine, and I've never been happier. And I'm so happy that she's experiencing this part of my career with me. It's really wonderful, because I never took any other women to the racetrack. I always thought it was bad luck. But, I changed my ways when I came back racing a few years ago, and she's my ride and die partner, and I couldn't do it without her, and I don't want to do it without her, or else I'm going to starve, not sleep. I'll be sleeping in my truck, not eating. She makes sure I'm fed, I'm clothed, I'm housed. She makes sure everything's there. I just make sure the car shows up and it's race ready. But Steve, Janine, Yarrick, Joey, my relationship now with Nissan at Bayshore. Simon Israelian, I finally found a car guy that, the meeting of the minds. And no competition to you, of course, but I really got to give my my two film guys, the video guys that have been now with me for like 6 or 7 months. And I kind of
competition.
Yeah, no competition.
There's they do completely separate things than what I do.
They do, but I'm always respectful for what you do, and their involvement in the last 6 or 7 months has made, a big difference. Just not so much in business, but so much in presence. A little bit in business, but a lot of presence, a lot of online presence and stuff like that, which I think, boils out, eventually comes to the surface, and more business will come.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, these guys are just doing a phenomenal job. I'm their first client. But I've been, I've given a lot of people their start and their break. And, they certainly deserve it, and they've done a wonderful job. So, to Mike and Alex, from Ricky Moto, they do a phenomenal job. So, in the future, when I'm done dumping them, to hire you. Right. You could go out and hire them yourself. But in the meantime,
you only hire me to do a podcast.
No.
I don't even charge for this. I ain't gonna lie. So it's not even that's not even a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's
I'm so entertaining. You should be paying me at this point.
I mean, hey, we can talk about that. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
No, but anyway, no, I just want to thank my guys, thank my wife, thank my family, and thank all the people that I do business with: Jim Wolf, Carrillo, Joe from Pro Talk, Zeke from Ferreira. Fields that really came through for me this year. A Drive Shaft Shop that does a great job. They just the people on my car, they're my friends. You know what I mean? They're not.
You don't want to miss anybody, though.
Yeah. VTR. Well, if you don't know this is the place right now, I mean, you'll never know. There's no convincing you. If you're in the New York area, Frank from South Bay. Yeah. Hey, listen, I'll even throw a shout out to my boys at Garrett. I'm waiting on the check.
You said Garrett?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I won't comment. We'll do a follow-up at another time.
It's 10:30, and these guys are all still here that he's talking about on the podcast. And that says a lot, because most interviews I do, you don't really see the workers here, but they're all here. So
I can't believe it's 10:30, man.
Yeah, it's 10:30.
It's 10:30.
The whole team is
I set a new record. Another record, baby.
We have a new record for the longest podcast on the Street Alpha podcast.
Yeah, man. Another record.
Vinny Ten. But I mean, I feel like Nero said, it's going to be a good podcast. So I kind of figured it would be. I said 2.5 hours, close to 3. But I don't want to miss anything, because I feel like there's a lot of history. And I honestly, it wouldn't make sense to come back and try to,
edit it all out and put it all together.
Not even that. Just like, I feel like I'm already here. It's
Sure.
just the best.
No,
It's the first
bomb.
time we're actually meeting
Absolutely.
in person. So
Yeah.
it's the best time to kind of get all everything
Absolutely.
out, for sure.
And that's why I didn't want to do any rehearsal. I don't want to go
yeah.
over anything.
You don't look over notes. It's just
Nope.
it's a little different.
Nope.
But I honestly didn't even look at the notes.
Right.
I normally don't, but it's just how
this
it
flowed
is.
pretty easily.
Yeah, really good
So,
flow. But I
thank
do want
you
to.
so much.
Yeah, no, 100%. I do want to thank you for taking the time. I did change my flight to make this happen.
Yeah,
because I
no,
felt
you
like
did.
You were a very important guest.
Well, I
and
appreciate
obviously,
that.
I had to make sure I had Vinny Ten on the podcast.
No, I
so
appreciate
Thank
that.
you so much for
Thank you.
making this happen, and thank you for calling me and letting me know you couldn't, because obviously some people, maybe their priorities are a little different, but you had a serious situation, so I said, you know what, I'll make it work.
Like
So,
I said,
yeah.
I only got one godson. You know what I mean? One great godson.
Right,
So
right. No, 100%. So for people who are looking to work with you in the future, if they have a VQ or if they have a 350Z,
I build
250, whatever
everything.
it is,
So
how do
if
they
it-
get in contact with you?
If you have a piston and a fuel injector, I'm your guy. So domestic or import, doesn't really matter. We do a great job all around. So it doesn't really matter. If we can't handle a job, we always tell you, because it's easier that way.
Yeah.
Like I said, we do a lot of business with the Hemi Fast crew and some other people that I can't mention,
Right.
But if you want to get in touch with me, just call, Vinny Ten Racing in New York. It's pretty easy. I mean,
And this is Lindenhurst?
this is Lindenhurst, Long Island. That's where I wound up. But no, it's great. I love the building. I love the space. I appreciate that I'm here. But yeah, just Vinny Ten Racing on Instagram, Vinny Ten Racing on Facebook, Vinny Ten Racing, in the phone book if they don't even exist.
I haven't seen a phone book since I was like 8 years old.
I know, I threw it out there. But Janine and Steve are gonna pick up that call. You're not gonna, there's everybody here you can talk to. But Janine does a great job, and she'll guide you through. She's more knowledgeable than most of the guys that come in here, and
That's
she's
awesome.
picking it up really fast. So she's doing a great job. Steve, obviously, a vast wealth of knowledge. So you're going to be literally talking to my right hand people.
Awesome.
There's no buffers, and whatever you need, you come see me. And once you're here, I'm here. I'm here 8:30 to 8:30. So when you come here, like I can't get on the phone for everyone because I would never be able to do anything. And but when you're here, I usually take the time out to meet as many customers as I can, because I appreciate them, coming in here and choosing us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again so much for your time, Vinny.
Pleasure, my man.
There you guys have it. If you guys do want to get in contact with Vinny or work with Vinny on your future projects, you guys know where to reach him. That concludes the episode pretty much. So if you guys are listening and always watching, continue to keep listening and watching. Also, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, and also head over to streetalpha.co to copy your merch. Until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.